22-year-old student Erin Samuels is suing her boyfriend's ex-girlfriend, 20-year-old student Barbara Jordan, for vandalizing her car. Barbara is countersuing for harassment.
Order. All rise.
Your Honor, case number 284 on the calendar in the matter of Samuels versus Jordan.
Thanks, Bert.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats, please.
Oh. Miss Samuels, is this your current boyfriend?
Yes.
And Ms. Jordan, this is your current boyfriend?
Yes.
According to your complaint, the defendant used to date your boyfriend.
That is correct.
And because she was angry with you, or whatever, for dating this gentleman, she vandalized your car.
Yeah.
She says she didn't do it, and she is counterclaiming because she says that you harass her. Right? Could you step up for a moment? I just want to see what everybody's fighting over. Could you pick your pants up? What's your name?
Louis Castillo.
How old are you, Louis?
20.
You live at home?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Knew you were going to get it right, Louis, eventually. How long did you date Miss Jordan?
Probably for like 3 years.
Whose idea was it to break off the relationship, yours or hers?
Both of ours.
How long have you been dating Miss Samuels? She could pick up her pants, too. I don't have to look at her belly.
Probably for like 6 months.
Have you had any contact with Miss Jordan?
No.
Do you know of any reason why she didn't like Miss Samuels?
I wouldn't know.
Don't know? Have no clue. A man of few words. Have a seat. All right, so tell me about this vandalism, Miss Samuels. When did it happen?
6/25/02.
And where did it occur?
Driscoll and Paseo Padre.
Who lives there?
My friend Lisa.
So tell me what happened.
I was over at Lisa's visiting her, and she received a phone call from Barbara. She was going to come over. Well, Lisa told her no, and Barbara couldn't figure out exactly why she didn't want her to come over. So Barbara being across the street at the payphone at the gas station.
How do you know that?
It says on Lisa's caller ID, payphone, and Lisa knows the payphone across the street.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, she noticed my car being across the street.
How do you know she noticed your car?
Because she knows my car. How? I don't know.
Okay, just tell me, don't tell me what she noticed, what she saw. Just you tell me what you saw and what you heard. Okay, so she called Lisa's house. Is that right?
Yeah.
And Lisa told you not to come over.
Yeah, that time.
I'm reading your answer because your answer seems to verify that. And you went over anyway.
She called me earlier in the day and told me to come over. I said, I got to finish getting ready. And then I called her from the payphone and said I was there. She said, don't come over. And I said, okay. And then he got on the phone.
Louis?
Yes. And he said, I'm going to meet you across the street. I said, why do I need to meet you for? And then they hung up on me. So I went to her apartment and I knocked on the door.
You went to Lisa's apartment?
Yes, and I knocked on the door.
So you knew at that point that Louis was there?
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear Miss Samuels there? What happened when she came over?
She was banging on the door saying for me to come out. She said, come out here, I'm going to kick your ass. Why don't you come out here?
So then, according to you, she knew you were there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And you did not come out?
No.
I see it again. Thank you. What happened next?
I received a phone call after Louis had left to get her out of there.
Louis went outside?
Yeah.
Louis, did you see her when you went outside? Louis?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
You went outside. What did you see when you got outside? Just look at me. Don't make up any stories because you know what'll happen to you. I'll wipe up the floor with you.
I know.
Just tell me what you saw and what you heard when you got outside, if anything.
I seen her. Basically, I was just telling her, you know what I mean, why you starting trouble, you know what I mean, I'm out of here. Just get out of here, you know what I mean?
Could you try to speak clearly, you know? So you told her basically to get out?
Yeah. That, you know what I mean, it's overweight.
Louis, I know that you're a nice guy. So the answer is yes.
Yes.
And what did she respond to you? Did she say anything?
Talking a bunch of garbage or whatever.
Louis, do you curse in front of your mother?
No.
Would you curse in front of the priest?
No, ma'am.
So you would have to search in your vocabulary and find other words to use, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So I want you to tell me what she said to you when you told her to leave.
She was really like crying, to tell you the truth. She was like crying and like tripping because she seen me.
She
like,
was crying.
Because she seen her car out there and she knew I was with her, basically.
Don't tell me what she knew. I want you to tell me what you saw. You saw her crying?
Yeah.
Did she say anything to you
There were mostly cuss words.
that she said to you?
Yeah.
Did she finally leave?
I thought she left because my sister lives in the same apartments. And I went to my sister's house and I came back out and she was at her car.
You saw her at her car?
Yeah, because her
No,
car...
no, look at me. You actually saw her near Miss Samuel's car? Look at me.
Yeah, it's right there on the corner of Driscoll and Paseo Padre.
How close did you see her to the car? From where you are to where?
The microphone.
How long was she standing that close to the car that you saw?
15 to 20 minutes. Because I was trying to have her leave the apartment complex. I left and went in my sister's house and she was gone. But when I came back, my brother-in-law had told me that she was out there still.
Did you see her when you came out there again? Was that when you saw her at the car, or did you not actually see her at the car?
I seen her at the car.
When?
The first time.
The first time?
Yeah. As soon as we left the apartment complex.
Down, Louis. Now as clear as mud.
Fog is not lifting.
Okay, when had you parked the car there?
I would say not even a half hour before I was just there.
About a half hour before Miss Jordan came over?
Yes.
When did you see the car again?
After I was clear that she had left. I'm not about to go out there after she said she was going to kill me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
How come you didn't say, I was in the car, I saw what happened, I didn't do it, somebody else did it?
I said that I was there.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Erin Samuel says her boyfriend's ex, Barbara Jordan, vandalized her car. Barbara says she didn't do it.
Did you have any further conversation with Miss Jordan?
She had called my cell phone and told me, come out and look in my car.
She called you on your cell phone?
Yeah. After
When?
the incident happened, right after she did it and left.
Okay, good. And then you went out and saw what damaged the car. Let me see it.
This is of the windshield, and the police report says how they examined the vehicle themselves and took pictures, but I don't know how to get those pictures.
What kind of car do you have?
I don't have one.
What kind of car do you drive in?
I don't.
Who's Kim?
My mom.
But your mother has a car.
Yeah. He does
Look
too,
at that. Look at that. Your mother has a car.
but she's in jail though.
Your mother has a car.
Yes.
That a witness says matched the license plate of the car that was responsible for the damage to her car.
That's true.
Ooh,
I
how
was there,
interesting.
but I did not do it.
How interesting.
The girl I was with did do it.
Really?
Yes. I didn't even know her car. I did not know nothing about her, but this girl
The
had
girl
known
who
her.
was driving the car did it.
No, not the driver.
You were the driver.
No, neither one of us were the driver. There was a third
Really?
girl involved.
So you were in the car.
Yes.
Good! How come you didn't mention that in your answer?
What?
How come you didn't say, I was in the car, I saw what happened, I didn't do it, somebody else did it?
I said that I was there.
Oh, no, you didn't.
I said that I was there, and I called from across the street on the payphone.
No, you didn't say that you were there. Listen, Barbara, you didn't say in your answer anything about being present when the vandalism occurred to her car.
I didn't get that far.
You got that far in your answer to me.
In my police report, it says
You
that
got
too.
that far in your answer to me.
My police report says that I admit that I was there, but I did not do it.
You did it as far as I'm concerned, honey. Unless you can give me a good reason why anybody else would vandalize her car.
Because the other girl knows her, and she said that she was saying things about me, and she said, how are you going to let it ride? How are you going to just let her? I'm like, I don't really care, because I broke up with him. He was in jail. I broke up with him, and I was staying with him. I don't care that they're together. I don't care about none of that. And I'm not jealous of anything. Why would I care?
Tell me how you got to be in a car with somebody who vandalized her car and what this other girl had against her.
I do not know what she had against her.
I don't know either. All I know is the
I
car
don't have
belonged.
nothing against her.
All I know is the car belonged to your mother, who you tell me is where?
In jail.
In jail.
It has nothing to do with none of this.
All right. Tell me no more. Give me the estimates on the car, please.
The estimates on the car are on the police report.
Where's the windshield? This is the restraining order.
I asked you for one thing. I said, give me the estimate on the car.
The complete and total cost is at the very last.
What year car is this?
2000.
Was the car repaired?
No.
Why not?
Don't have the money to repair it. I didn't plan
There's no
on-
insurance on the car?
No.
Who owns the car free and clear?
Me now. It was just paid off recently.
When was it just paid off?
Not even a month ago on my
Well,
birthday.
if it was just paid off a month ago, that means that when this happened in June, you had to keep insurance on the car because there was a money lender involved, so you had to keep insurance on the car.
But I didn't want to pay a $500 deductible that I didn't have to get the car repaired.
Just a second. I'm going to love this. You had a $500 deductible in June, is that right?
Yeah.
Of course. We're now 6 months later, and I'm asking you why you didn't have the car fixed when you had insurance instead of having a bill here for $5,000. That doesn't sound right. Where'd you expect her to get $5,000 from, madam? You're not going to get $5,000. That's what you had your insurance for. You think that I believe this whole cock and bull story that you just told me?
The key
That you
marks?
didn't have, no, about the repairs to the car.
I didn't have the $500 for the insurance.
Let them fix as much as they can.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now, I want you to tell me about your counterclaim, Miss Jordan. Let's hear it.
Okay, she has a restraining order on me. And on
Rightfully so.
On the 11th of this month, at 5 o'clock in the morning, the same girl, Lisa, calls my house saying that she's outside. I go outside, and she's hiding in the car, too. And they give me a paper to say that they're going to sue me. I called my attorney, and I told him that she had came there, and I said, she has a restraining order on me. What can I do about it? Because he said I could go to jail because she has the 100-yard restraining order. And I went back inside, and on my answer machine was a tape of her and Lisa laughing about the whole situation. They're all, F the cops, this and that. Well, you can hear the tape.
Sure, I'd like to hear the tape. Bert, could you bring it up here? Maybe it's my here.
Okay, I'm gonna hit this quick. Where's my phone? I have my phone. Talk about a fast getaway, huh? They're all laughing. Yeah, I can't. Oh my god. Oh my god. No.
Does it get better?
It's just basically how they're laughing, how they
They're
came to my
laughing.
house.
They're laughing. They came to your house. They served you with a small claim summons.
And
Is that
she's
right?
not even supposed to be on our property.
Just a minute. You don't have a protective order against her. Is that right?
It's
Shh, listen to me carefully. Do you have a protective order against her?
not yet. I'm in the process of getting it.
Who handed you the summons?
Lisa handed it to him.
So Lisa never served you.
No, but they were at my house at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Fine. They can be at your house at 3 o'clock in the morning.
No,
They can
they
serve you
can't.
with a summons. Oh, yeah. Your counterclaim is dismissed. It's not harassment.
And
In
I
any
have-
event, and on your claim, listen to me carefully. You should have had your car fixed when you had insurance. However, I'm not going to penalize you for stupidity any more than $4,500 worth, because I am awarding you $500, which would have been your out-of-pocket expenses had you had your car repaired when you had insurance in June, when this incident happened. Do I make myself clear?
Yeah.
Good. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I have papers saying that my vandalism has been dismissed, saying that I did not do it.
She was seen by people in the apartment complex. They called the police before I even got out to the vehicle to call them, and the description fit her.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Messerman versus Johnson. Step forward, please.
Pet grooming business owner Linda Messerman is suing her neighbor, camera assistant Peter Johnson, for starting a fire in her kitchen.
Miss Messerman, really the defendant was a friend of yours because you asked him to house sit and pet sit for you when you were going on vacation or someplace out of town. He said he would be more than happy to do that. He would stay in your apartment. You were not paying him for that service. Is that correct so far?
Yes, correct.
That correct so far?
Yes.
He stayed in the apartment while he was there. He did some baking, caused a fire. He says because he didn't know that you had two ovens. One of the ovens you used for storage. And when he lit the other oven, both ovens went on. The other oven went up in flames, causing the fire.
Correct.
Right? And therefore it was an accident, and an accident that is partially her fault because she shouldn't have been using the oven for storage. Is that right?
Correct.
You had two ovens?
I had two ovens, Your Honor.
One of the ovens you used for storage?
Yes, for pots and pans only, and baked goods, because I never use my ovens. I'm a Jewish woman, I don't cook.
I understand that. But he's not Jewish. right?
Yes.
You are Jewish.
No, I'm not.
You're not Jewish.
I'm not Jewish.
So, you see, he thinks that people actually use ovens for things
Go
rather
figure.
than storage and filing.
Of course not.
You know that that's
Right.
ridiculous.
Of course it is.
Tell me about the fire, Mr. Johnson.
I was getting ready to make some cookies and turned on the oven and walked away. And about 2 minutes later, the alarm goes off, and I walk back there, and I'm thinking, I didn't have anything in this oven yet, and there's this other thing that's on fire. And I'm like, oh my God, I got an inferno going on. So it was like, I don't have anything to put this thing out with, so I have to call my brother. So luckily, we live next door, and so he brings the fire extinguishers, and we put the thing out. And basically, that's it.
Can I see photographs of the kitchen, please?
Many, many. I have photographs of the walls, the soot, the carpets, the ovens. Just, it's a nightmare.
Okay. Listen, it's an accident. It's really an accident caused by cultural differences, cultural and religious differences, right?
Well, it was very obvious that it was a double oven. I mean,
What she said was absolutely right.
unfortunately, yes.
It's an accident. He didn't mean to do it, right?
No, of course he didn't
Okay.
mean to, but it was a double oven, and
He's
didn't notice.
He's
it
at
was-
least partially responsible. You don't keep flammable stuff in an
It's
oven.
not flammables. It was pots and pans and stuff that I would use in the oven had I actually used the oven.
No. It had to be flammable because it caught on fire.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's flammable.
Correct.
So there is
I'm
stuff
assuming
here,
there's some plastic or something.
plastic
on
that
something,
caught on
yeah.
fire. Right, that didn't belong in an oven.
It's my mother's
now,
fault.
What I don't understand, Mr. Johnson, is that there are two ovens here, correct?
Correct.
You could have opened up the ovens and taken a look inside.
You know, I really didn't see
That's
it.
your fault that you didn't see it. One's on top of the other. It's not hiding.
Well, they didn't have like two knobs. I just saw the one, and I figured it was just one oven.
But that was a mistake.
Okay,
It was a mistake that contributed to this fire, right?
I guess.
You feel no responsibility whatsoever?
Well, I feel bad about it, and you know, I truly do. I feel really bad, but it's like I didn't intend this to happen.
Your responsibility, you believe, is limited to how badly you feel.
No, I feel that I did a bad thing, but it wasn't, like I said, an intentional.
Absolutely not. And she also didn't intend to have the stuff that she was storing in the oven ignite and cause all this damage. It was stupid of her to keep stuff there that was flammable, and it was stupid of you to turn on an oven until you looked in both places and figured out what was in there. Now, Ms. Messerman.
Yes.
You have homeowners insurance?
Actually, my father had been telling me to get it and get it and get it, and I have not gotten it yet. I know.
Well, that's very foolish, Ms.
I
Messerman.
know.
Now, do you own or rent this apartment?
I rent.
What about the landlord? What is the landlord doing about your problem?
The landlord actually is a whole other story. I have lived there for 7 years, have never had a problem. Now
So
they
he's
want to
letting
evict
you-
me.
Yes.
They think I'm negligent. I had to hire an attorney to keep my home, which is still in progress right now because they're trying to get rid of me because of the fire, thinking that I'm such an idiot that I cause fires.
Well, you're such an idiot because you kept these files and stuff in your oven.
Yes.
They didn't understand this cultural thing.
Right. It's my mother's fault.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, that each of you are responsible for this problem. You, because you allowed a situation to exist in your home that was capable of causing a problem, and you, because you didn't look first. You understand?
Correct.
So you're suing for $3,000, and I'm giving you judgment for $1,500. The other part of it is your fault. Don't put flammables in an oven. You don't have to necessarily cook in an oven, but you don't put stuff in it.
Sure.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
My carpets are trashed with soot.
It's just one of those weird things you'll never do again.
My walls are completely black.
I was just trying to help out a friend, and next thing I know, I start a fire.
My ceilings are black. My couches are just covered with soot.
Well, we don't see each other much anymore.
Everything is just filthy.
But just be careful.
Maybe I'll hire a cook.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hoffman versus Birchfield. Step forward, please.
Grad student David Hoffman is suing his neighbor, demolition man Vincent Birchfield, and his wife Tara. David says Vincent's 14-year-old twins, Vincent Jr. and James, dented his car during a peach fight.
All right, Mr. Hoffman, it is your claim that the defendant's sons were fooling around and having a peach fight, which is throwing peaches at each other. And one of the peaches hit your car, causing a dent. You want the defendants to pay for that. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you neighbors?
Yes, we are.
Okay, and how old are these two boys? How old are you?
14.
It was good. They said that both together.
like
Why don't you have a seat? Sit down. Yeah, get them up. Where do you expect to sit on your lap? Get over here. Give me strength. Used to be worried. What did you want to be? An engineer, doctor, a lawyer, a dentist, right?
Right.
Right? Now you know what you're asking? Whether you want to be 15. What were you doing outside fooling around with peaches?
We were throwing peaches at each other.
Why?
Because we went outside and started throwing peaches at each other in front of our house.
Why?
For fun.
And where did you get the peaches from?
Peach tree.
Where was the peach tree?
In front of the building next to us.
Who did the peach tree belong to?
The owner of the building in front of us.
So you stole peaches from somebody
No, he said we can have peaches whenever we'd like them.
to eat
To eat or
to throw.
Yeah.
You think you're a wise guy? Let me tell you something. 25 years from now, where do you think you're going to be?
On a job.
Let's hope so. So let's not be a wise guy, okay? If somebody was nice enough to say to you, look, I have a peach tree, whenever you want a peach, go and take it, they meant for you to take it when you wanted something to eat, not for you to act like a moron and take them off the tree and throw them at each other. That be a fair statement, that that's what the person intended when they were being nice to you?
Yeah.
Try yes.
Yes.
Or certainly you won't be an English teacher in 25 years. Were you throwing peaches too?
Yes. My brother didn't throw any.
I
was
never
the
threw
one
any
throwing
peaches.
At him.
Hmm?
I was the one throwing them at him.
And what was he doing? He was trying
Running.
to catch them?
No, he was running away from them.
Were they ripe peaches?
No.
So they were hard peaches.
Yes.
How many peaches did you throw at your brother?
I threw about 3.
And who else was throwing peaches?
My friend David and Mason.
And was it at your suggestion that you go out and take the peaches?
Yes.
All right, so that fair statement is, under the law, you are responsible for their actions since you clearly got permission to take the peaches and you gave someone else the permission to take the peaches and throw them. And you say that one of those peaches hit your car, causing a dent.
Yes,
Did you
Your Honor.
see it?
Yes, I did.
You did?
I saw it occur.
Which boy did you see throw a peach?
They're twins, and it was difficult to tell, but I know one of these two.
They look different to me.
Well, they were, as my pictures depict, I was looking out my front window. When I heard a noise hitting the roof in my backyard, a carport, made a loud noise, my dogs alerted. I then went to the front window upstairs immediately, and I saw the peach fight in progress on the four corners.
Peach fight?
Peach fight. It was pretty intense. I mean, they were ducking behind cars. They were up in the neighbor's yard, up on his hill, behind his tree. I mean, it was crossfire going everywhere. So I saw peaches hit my car, and when I came downstairs, got dressed, came out to my gate, they were gone.
Oh, what is this picture of?
That's the dent from the peach.
You want to say something?
I'll wait my turn, ma'am.
You may not have one.
Well, I'd like to say a lot of things, and that's not what he showed us where the dent was. He showed us a different car and a dent in his door on his car.
Really?
Yeah, I'd like to depict a few things. May I get up and talk?
Why don't you talk to your sons about how stupid they were?
Well, Your Honor.
Why, just a minute. Did you talk to your sons about how stupid they were?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good.
But, Your Honor.
I didn't ask you another
Well,
question.
he's
When I
leaving a lot of
asked you
things
another
out.
question, you weren't there.
Well, Your Honor, I came home.
Just answer my question. You were there or you weren't there?
Yeah, I was there.
You're a liar.
No, I was there after the peach fight and I came home. Yeah, I was there and seen what happened.
Just a second.
I was there. My kids aren't stupid.
The peach don't fall far from the tree.
That's fine, Your Honor. Touche, you know, whatever you got to say, but if you don't want to
I'm
let
going
me
to
talk...
say it because if I say to you, sir, were you present when this happened? And
The
you say
incident,
yes and you
yes.
weren't.
The whole incident, I have been present in some of the incidents, some of the things that happened, yes.
Get him
when
out
I
of here.
came home.
Get him out of here, please.
No problem.
Are you the mother?
I'm his wife.
You guys,
Are
let's
you
go,
the
boys.
mother of these
We're out
children?
Here.
No.
We're out here.
You are not?
No.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount requested because he's taking his children out of here. There's no question in my mind they caused the damage. Judgment for the
Bye-bye,
plaintiff
Your
in the
Honor.
amount of $1,408.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You step out, sir.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Shartza versus Myers. Step forward, please.
19-year-old student James Schartzer is suing his former friend, 20-year-old loan officer Matthew Myers, for vandalizing his car. Matthew says James tried to run him over. He is countersuing for money owed on a computer.
Mr. Sharzer, I gather from your complaint that you know the defendant, Mr. Myers, and it is your claim that he vandalized your car. The defendant says that he did not vandalize your car, that you were not in the car at the time of this incident. Some of your friends tried to run him over, and he merely placed his hands on the hood of the car because he was trying to protect himself. Mr. Myers says that you owe him some money for a computer and is counterclaiming. Is that what this is about?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When was your car vandalized, sir? On what date?
April 27th, 2002.
And tell me how it came about that your car was in the vicinity of Mr. Myers' house.
It all started, I was hanging out with some friends.
I want you to speak up, speak slowly so that I can hear you, because I'm not holding it against you that you did not dress for court today. Just because they're wearing suits and shirts and ties doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to tell me the truth, right?
Right.
But I think that you can get a leg up if you speak up, speak from your diaphragm. Don't swallow your words. You got it?
Yes, ma'am.
What?
Yes, ma'am.
Try.
Let's go.
On the night of April 27th, 2002, I was hanging out with some friends, and one of my witnesses, Susie...
Stop tapping. Don't tap.
One of my witnesses, Susie, had to go over his house to deliver a payment for that computer.
What computer?
The computer that we made a deal with where I put a down payment down, he put the other $500 on his credit card, and I was paying the monthly payment.
Susie was going to go over to his house to make a payment for you, to him, on a computer that he had put on his credit card as a favor to you.
Yes, ma'am.
We got that down?
Got that.
And why weren't you going to make the payment, sir?
Because at the time we weren't friends.
Why is that? Had you been late in making the computer payments?
No, I believe it was the first payment that was being delivered.
Okay. Go ahead.
And we weren't friends, and she had to go over there. So I let two of my friends drive her over there because I didn't want any altercations. And they went over there, and she went in the house.
You weren't there, so you don't know
No,
what happened.
I
But
wasn't
that's
there.
why she went over there in your car. Right? Susie! So you went over there with a payment. How much of a payment did you go over with?
I believe it was $60.
What happened when you got there?
I walked inside and I handed Matt the payment. He was sitting on the couch by himself, and I was just talking to him because I hadn't seen him in a while. And then I told him that Rich, the boy who drove me, was out there, and he wanted to say hi. So he went outside with us, and he said hi to Rich, and he looked at the car. And then he was like, something like, give a message to James. And he started like kicking the side of the door. And then he walked around and started kicking the front of the door, yelling that he wanted his money. And so I was scared, so I jumped back in the car and we drove off.
He just started kicking the car?
Yeah, he knew it was James's, so he just...
Of course he knew it was James's.
So he like grabbed onto my shoulder and started kicking the car. And then he walked around and jumped on the front and started jumping on the hood of the car.
What'd you do that for?
I didn't do it.
What'd you do?
This is what happened. She came over, I met her outside. I was talking to her. She gave me the $60. I thought it was $70, but she gave me $60. And then what happened? I'm nervous. And what did she do? She gave me the money, and then I was sitting out in front of the car.
No, this is
I know. I'm sorry.
slowly.
No.
Take. Why don't you do this?
No.
Go. Take a deep breath. Okay.
All right. We started to talk, and then she got in the car. Right? I'm nervous. Sorry. I'm sorry. And we started talking, and then I started getting mad because she said he wasn't going to pay the rest of the money because he owes me $500.
He wasn't going to pay you the rest?
No, that's what she told me because he owes me $500. I got it right here. And then after that, I don't know if he wasn't driving the car. He was in the passenger seat. And
Thank you for clearing that up for me.
Okay, sorry. And then I started yelling at her, and I was like, someone's going to pay this money. Someone's going to pay this money. And I was getting real angry. And what happened was she jumped in the car, and I thought they were going to back out the driveway. I was yelling at him. When he jerked forward on the car, I slammed my hands on the car real hard, and I went over to the driver's side and ripped the person out of the car. I was angry because they were trying to run me over. He took off real fast. That's basically what happened.
Let me see the damage to your car. I assume that at one time you were pretty good friends if you let him put money on the computer.
Yeah, we were friends. So
what happened to that friendship?
He's a con artist. That's what he is.
What?
He's a con artist. He uses people for money. He's suing me right now so he can pay other people off.
Okay. She says that he kicked the sides of the car two places, and then he jumped on the hood. Is that right?
He picked the passenger side. He didn't touch the
Passenger
driver's
side only. The hood, I got. The hood's no question. The driver's side is out because he didn't touch the driver's side, right?
Right.
So here we go, the driver's side. And the back he didn't hit, right? Just the driver's side.
No.
Back. Back. What are you showing me these pictures for? I have better things to do.
The taillights were...
What?
He kicked the taillights, and the taillights were out of line.
She just said kick us out of the car. I'm sorry.
Bert, is this the passenger side or the driver's side? Looks like the driver's side to me. Maybe.
Depends on which way the car is facing, Judge.
Yeah.
Is that two-door or?
Two-door.
Oh, I think it's the passenger side.
Two-door.
This is the back of the car over here.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let me see your estimate, sir. What kind of car is this?
It's a 1989 Honda CRX.
Left door damage, left quarter dents, left to light, left quarter. He only kicked in one place.
Before I was told that he went all the way around the car.
That's not what you just said,
He
right?
went on the passenger side, and the passenger mirror, and then the hood of the car, and that was it.
All right. Whole car isn't worth $3,200.
Yeah, it's worth $29,333. I got it right here in the blue book.
Okay. Are you still driving the car?
It's getting a new motor put in right now.
Well, maybe this will help pay for some of the motor. All right, now tell me about the computer.
Well, basically, yeah, my brother was there at the time. I put it on my credit card with him.
How much do you owe him for the computer, sir?
$500.
So he still owes you $500?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. And you can't dent his car, sir, in order to get your money. I'm giving him $1,500 for all the dents to his hood and the dents, because he's got bad dents to his hood where you lost your temper. No. You lost your temper, sir. Lost your temper. You were angry. You lost your temper. You got to pay for that. But from that, I'm taking away $500, which I'm awarding you on your counterclaim, which means I'm entering a judgment for the plaintiff, nothing on your counterclaim, because I'm setting it off. The amount's $1,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I didn't put the dents on his car purposely. It was accidental because they came at me.
I don't know what he's talking about with the con artist thing.
He lies. I don't like liars.
Don't hang out with that family.
They don't trust people.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Schwab versus Spadine. Step forward, please.
Office manager Bonnie Schwab is suing travel agent Giancarlo Fadine for the cost of 2 tickets to Greece. Bonnie says she won the tickets in a raffle, and Giancarlo reneged on the prize.
Miss Schwab, you were the lucky winner of 2 tickets to Greece.
Yes, I was.
About 2 years ago.
May of 2000.
And where did you win these tickets?
At the Valley Greek Festival that they have every year in May.
Was it a raffle ticket?
It was a raffle ticket. A girl I work with, her children go to school there, and I bought tickets.
And due to circumstances, according to your complaint, you were unable to use the tickets for a while. The defendant had donated the tickets. You have a travel agency, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now you want to use the airline tickets. The defendant says you waited too long. That's your defense. Is that pretty much it?
Pretty much it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Bonnie Schwab says after entering a raffle at a Greek festival, she won 2 tickets to Greece. Bonnie claims travel agent Giancarlo Fadine is trying to renege on the prize.
Do you have a copy of the stub, your contest stub, or any other literature from the contest?
I have a letter from the church stating that I won first prize in the raffle.
Okay. All right, and that was in May of 2000.
Right.
Did you schedule the trip?
We scheduled a trip. Mr. Faden gave us an itinerary when we went to see him in January.
Who's we?
My boyfriend at the time. We went to see him, and he wrote us an itinerary. We discussed with him that we would like to go to Italy. Mr. Faden said we could go to Italy instead of Greece, so he prepared an itinerary. At
And
that
this
time,
was done in January?
Of 2001.
And when were you planning to take the trip?
May of 2001. Subsequently, due to circumstances beyond my control, I was not able to go with my boyfriend. So I called Christine, Mr. Faden's wife, and asked them if I could put the trip off until October of that year. And they agreed to, of 2001, and they agreed that they would do that.
So far, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Then what happened?
Well, then the summer passed, and then September 11th happened. I was afraid to travel, especially to Europe. Being an American, I didn't know what would happen. The airlines and the airports were crazy. So I wrote them a letter and faxed it to them in October, and I received no response. I asked them to call me.
Do you have a copy of that letter?
Yes, I do.
Okay, do you acknowledge receiving a letter from her?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Your Honor, we have a standard letter that we send to the organization. We donate to the Italian community, in this case the Greek community, because we specialize travel to Europe, especially Italy and Greece. And the letter pretty much states...
Well, let me take a look at the letter that you say that you send to everybody, but you didn't send it to the plaintiff.
Well, we wouldn't have, because we would have sent it to church.
No, but you,
I never saw that
just a
letter.
second. You say here that the tickets are valid for 1 year from the date of the prize drawing, and this is dated March 15th of 2000. I have no idea when this was typed, Mr. Faden, but certainly you cannot impugn the information here to the plaintiff unless it was written on the stub that, you know, grand prize, 2 tickets to Greece, trip must be taken within 1 year.
We donate the tickets to the church with the intent of creating goodwill in the community. The church is then raffling and selling the tickets and collecting the money from, in this case, Ms. Swab, and we have no responsibility on that.
You do. You have responsibility for the 2 tickets, sir. First of all, you agreed to put...
We have donated the 2 tickets to church.
No, you have donated the 2 tickets, not to St. Nicholas Church, Mr. Fade. You have donated the tickets to be used as part of a raffle. I don't see what your problem is, Mr. Faden. It would seem to be now, if you wanted to purchase 2 tickets to Greece, it would be a lot cheaper than it was 2 years ago.
Well, let me explain. After September 11, my company lost $200,000. When the lady called to postpone her trip, I wasn't even sure that I would be in business the following spring.
But you are in business.
Well, thank you. I worked very hard for it.
Good, but you are in business, so you have to give her tickets.
I would like to call my witness at a certain point, Your Honor.
To say what?
Because she really dealt with pristine strategy most of the time.
More than happy to hear from the witness if she has something else to say.
No, I can stand. Your Honor, I don't know exactly what to say. I think I do understand that there was perhaps a miscommunication between the agency and the church and perhaps Ms. Schwab. However, when September 11th came, again, as Giancarlo has said, we really didn't know where we stood, and perhaps it's difficult for somebody who doesn't work in the travel industry to understand. There were literally envelopes, I mean loads of tickets coming back. Every phone call was a cancellation. It came so late. It came 2 years later, and I understand
well, it didn't come 2 years later. It came a year and a half later.
A year and a half
and
later.
You had already agreed to allow her to take the trip in October.
I understand that.
So
but
if
again,
you allowed her to take the trip in October, despite the fact that you really didn't have any choice, but you said, okay, you want to travel in October, and then the events of September 11th, which you acknowledge devastated your business.
Totally.
You had no time to respond to this letter that she sent.
No,
because you were
really.
trying to
I
keep
was
your
too
heads
busy
above water.
Correct.
So you acknowledge that it was a tumultuous time.
Absolutely.
In your world, it was this important. This whole trip was this important as it related to the rest of the world. But bottom line is, you donated these tickets. She wants the tickets. She feels comfortable enough now that the world has calmed down enough so she's prepared to travel. And you have to furnish her the 2 coach class tickets that she won, that you donated. Just do it. That's your goodwill. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It was a lifelong dream. I wanted to go to Italy.
It's a gesture of goodwill. The lady that won the tickets 3 years ago almost should understood that we needed some goodwill too.
She did a good job. I'm happy.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of White versus Atkinson. Step forward, please.
Babysitter Jackie White is suing her granddaughter, 20-year-old nurse's assistant Melissa Atkinson, for an unpaid loan to bail her father out of jail.
Miss Atkinson, how old are you?
20.
This is your grandma?
Yep.
Who do you live with now?
Me and my fiance and my daughter.
How old is your daughter?
8 months.
When you were growing up, who did you live with?
My mother.
Only your mother?
Yep.
What about your father?
Non-existent.
That's her son, is that right? Did you have any sort of relationship with your grandmother?
Yep. Somewhat.
As you were growing up, you saw her?
Yep.
Try yes, it sounds
Yes.
nicer. It's a courtroom. How frequently did you see your grandmother as you were growing up?
More when I was younger than now.
And you saw her despite the fact that you had no relationship with your father. He wasn't around.
He was around, but not often.
Shh, put your hand down. So she was around more than your dad?
Yep. Yes.
When you say she was around more than your dad, she would come to visit you or you would go and spend time with her even though her son wasn't around?
Yes.
So you would say that during the time you were little, and even a little older, she was a reasonable grandparent?
Yes.
Now I'm going to get to the case. Ms. White, you're suing your granddaughter because you claim that there was a time, some time ago, recently, that your son was in jail, was incarcerated, and needed bail money. He called you. You had most of the bail money that he needed. Whatever you had was about $470. $400 for bail and $70 for some fee. You spoke to your granddaughter. Granddaughter managed to get together another $100. You posted $500 bail for your son. Sometime later, he appeared in court. The bail was returned, but it was returned to your granddaughter, and your granddaughter did not give you back your money. Granddaughter says that you never gave her a dime. Okay? That's what the case is about.
Right.
Which is the reason that I was asking you a whole bunch of questions, Ms. Atkinson, because I didn't know what kind of relationship you had with your grandmother, and I don't know why your grandmother would sue you anyway, even if what she says is true, because that's sort of something that family doesn't do, especially for not life-altering amounts of money. So you're going to explain that too to me, Ms. White.
I had to borrow the money from my sister. She wired it up Western Union for me to get the bail money. And then I had to pay her back. And I was expecting to get my money back from Melissa when this bond was paid back.
When did your son call you?
April 27th. I've got a phone number here where I called my sister on the 28th. She wired the money up the 28th.
When was your son incarcerated?
27th.
For what?
I've got a record here. You'll have to look at this.
Can I see? Domestic abuse. Who was he living with?
His girlfriend.
So she was the complainant in the case?
Probably, yes.
Okay, so you got the money, and you got about $400.
Melissa put in 100.
Okay, and when did you call her?
I called her that day to go with me, ask her if she had any money to help me pay the bill. She said she'd get up 100. I told her I had 400 coming.
And that's what the bail was, 500?
Yes, she went with me to pick up the money from the Western Union. She was with me when I picked it up. We proceeded to the jailhouse. I let her put it in her name. It's my granddaughter. I don't think she's going to try and get the money, keep the money from me. The day he got out, the day this was all dismissed, I called her up, told her she'd go down and pick up the money. According to her, she didn't have a driver's license. She needed $700 and something for a license. I said, I can't do that. Get your mass ID. I can't do that, she says. So that was it. I never did see the money. That was the end of it.
Okay, go ahead.
All I have to say is if it was all of her money, like she claims, first it's so many different amonts. First it's $470. Now it's $400.
No, she
and
never
early
said it.
on it was $350.
Oh, you tell me what? You tell me your version of the story.
I'm just telling you that if it was all her money, that day I got called out of work to come and get $500 up.
Tell me what happened.
I got called out of work to get $500 up.
By
to
whom?
get my father, by her, for my father, to get bailed out of jail. So I got called out of work, had to come home, find money, spend the whole day waiting for a bail bondsman, and then of course it's my money, I'm going to put my name down so I can get my money back.
Where did you get the money from?
I had some cash saved over from my daughter's savings bonds.
Run that by me again.
They give me money to get savings bonds for my daughter.
Who does?
His family, my fiance's family. So I had that in a drawer.
How much did you have?
500.
I don't believe you.
Okay.
Why would I have Western Union?
I don't believe you.
That's fine.
I know it's fine. But don't you feel ridiculous coming up and telling a bald-faced lie?
No, I'm not.
Oh, yes, you are. I mean, it's a bald-faced lie, and it sounds so stupid.
Well, if it was her money, why didn't she put it in her name? What was the whole point of that
That's not
anyway?
the issue. The issue is that family usually trusts each other. Family usually trusts each other. Do I think that you have $500 in cash sitting around because your fiancé's family over the course of 6 months or a year has given you money for your 8-month-old child that you just keep in a drawer?
Yeah.
And you have a job?
Yep.
What kind of job do you have?
Nursing assistant.
You get paid check or cash?
Cash.
Cash?
Yep.
Interesting. When was the last time you filed tax returns?
Last year.
Good. How much did you report on your tax returns?
$12,000.
So you have a checking account?
No.
Really?
Really?
You keep all the money that you make in cash in your house?
Most of it.
That's dumb.
It works. Might not work for you, but it works for me.
You have to see. Now, what I don't understand is why a 20-year-old girl who seems not to have really started her life out in an orderly fashion to begin with, by having an 8-month-old child, being unwed, having a job, no checking account, no savings account, I assume, why you would want to cut off a grandparent who had been perfectly reasonable to you during your growing up years. I have no idea. But if attitude could make you wealthy, you'd be a very wealthy woman. Attitude is not going to make you wealthy. Being an honest person will make you at least an honorable person. Never going to get there. Thick. Maybe it's your son's genes. I hope not. Well, maybe. Anyway, the $70 she doesn't owe you. She owes you $400 because the bail was $500. It may have cost you $70 to get the money from your sister, but all you put down was $400. I believe that you put down $400 in bail, and I believe she got that money back, and I believe she decided she needed it. You get it back. That's all. Judgment of the plaintiff, $400.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't make that kind of money. I had to pay this back.
I thought it went fine.
She was with me when I picked the money up, so she knows what belongs to me.
She got the money back that she wanted so bad, so there you go.
My favorite thing to get back to normal again.
No relationship at all with them.
Well, at least in my great-granddaughter.
She doesn't need that kind of person in her life.
Traffic manager Tina Brewer is suing her ex-boyfriend, exterminator Byron West, and his wife Donna for vandalism and damage to her car.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please.
Yeah, this is case number 433 on the calendar in the matter of Brewer versus West. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Miss Brewer, who is this young lady?
This is my daughter.
I'd like her to wait outside, please.
Okay.
If we need her, we'll call her in.
Come in.
Miss Brewer, there are certain things that are truisms all the time. And one of those is if you mess around with a married man, you're going to get burned. And I gather from your complaint that you've been doing that for a few years with this character. Is that right?
No, ma'am.
According to you, he's married. You've been having an on and off relationship with him for a while.
Not a relationship, no.
What kind of relationship have you had with him over the last few
He
years?
has been calling me over the past 3 years, approximately every 2 to 3 months, telling me that he doesn't want to be with her anymore, that he loves me, he wants to come back to me.
Miss Brewer, don't you understand what I'm saying to you? That's having a relationship with a married man.
Okay.
According to you, sometime in December of last year, you got one of those calls from him.
Yes.
And he wired you some money to come and get him.
Yes.
You got there. You found him with his wife.
Yes.
She kicked and dented your car. You were very upset. His wife told you that it was all a big joke, that he just had you come down there to make her mad. You got back in your car to go home, so almost a 400-mile ride. You're so upset you hit a deer, damaging your car. You want them to be responsible for her kicking your car and him to be responsible for getting you down there under false pretenses, which caused you to be in the car to begin with.
Yes, ma'am. Except she didn't kick my car, she hit it with her fist like this on the hood.
But dented it. Mr. West says that, no, he never told you to come and get him. And both of them say that you've been harassing them and interfering with their marriage, and they're counterclaiming. So far, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you get married, Mr. West?
July 21st, 2001.
And when did you have a relationship with Miss Brewer?
It ended in October of '99, and 6 years prior, we were together.
Okay, so you were together for a long time.
Yes, ma'am.
You have children together?
No.
Since 1999, have you ever called her?
Yes, ma'am.
For what?
Once was to tell her that I had put their stuff in storage that they left in Oklahoma.
And what year was that?
That was in 99.
Yes?
And a couple more times I had called and talked to the kids to see how they was doing, which are all her kids.
Well, which children do you speak to?
I speak to the two girls, Stephanie and Kimmy.
Do you speak to their mother too?
I have.
When was the last time you called her, sir?
In December of 2002.
On what date?
I do not remember.
Try the 13th.
Yes, ma'am. That sounds correct.
Had you had a fight with your wife that day?
The day before, ma'am.
On the 12th?
Yes, ma'am.
So tell me about the fight that you had with your wife on the 12th, sir.
We had an argument over I thought she was being too friendly with the store clerk.
So you were jealous?
Yes, ma'am.
Shh. Now, prior to the 12th of December, when was the time immediately preceding that you called Miss Brewer?
I'd say a year before.
So a whole year passed.
Yes.
So you have a fight with your wife on the 12th, and on the 13th, where were you staying?
I was over at my mother's house.
Had you slept at your mother's house?
No, ma'am.
Where did you sleep?
At me and my wife's house.
So you're at your mother's house, and you picked up the phone, and you called Miss Brewer.
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
To talk to the kids, to see how they were doing.
Don't make a fool of yourself, sir, and don't give me an opportunity to make a fool of you.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Why did you call Miss Brewer on the 13th?
I told you why.
That's a lie. You're making a fool of yourself. Because if you have a fight with your wife on the 12th and you haven't spoken to Miss Brewer or her children in 1 year, the coincidence that you just have this burning desire to speak to her 2 children the next day while at your mother's house, that's too coincidental to be true. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
So your wife, you thought, was being too cozy with a store clerk, and you were jealous, and that was the reason for the fight. So you figure, I'm going to make her good and jealous, and I'm going to call my old girlfriend, Miss Brewer. That sound more reasonable and more consistent with human experience, Mr. West?
It could be interpreted that way, yes, ma'am.
I knew we'd get around there, Mr. West. So you decided to have a little sport with your wife. And if it happened to hurt Miss Brewer in the bargain, so be it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He's the perpetrator, but you have an opportunity to say, don't call me anymore.
And I have, ma'am.
Well, I'm glad you have, because he sure doesn't look like the sharpest tap in the box.
And later today,
How much did you pay for him?
40.
You paid 40. You sold them to him for 175 apiece, right? Shh! Am I correct that this is a whole little scam?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tina Brewer says her ex-boyfriend's wife, Donna West, pounded the hood of her car in a fit of rage. Tina says she was so upset she ran over a deer.
Now, Miss Brewer, we're going to jog his memory of the conversation.
I can tell you every word.
Oh, I'm sure you can.
Yes, I can.
I want you to give me exactly what was said in this conversation. He said, "Hi, it's me." Something like that.
Something like that.
Now let's hear it.
When he called on the 13th, my mother lives with me now, and she answered the phone. I was at work. She called me at work, and she said he will call back at noon. So when I came home for lunch, sure enough, he called back, and he said, "I love you, I miss you, we never argued, we got along great, I believe we're made for each other." And he said, "I want to come be with you. I'm tired of this, I'm tired of Durant, I'm tired of all of it." So I said, "Well, are you sure?" Because he had been telling me this for 3 years.
I'm talking about the 13th of December.
On the 13th of December, he said that, and he said, "I will see what I can do. I'll see if I can get my sister to bring me or something." And I said, "Okay, fine." He said he would call back at 6 o'clock that night.
On the 13th?
On the 13th.
And did he call back at 6 o'clock on the 13th?
No, ma'am, he called at 7. He called at 7, and he said, "They're in Durant. They can't bring me. Could you come get me?" And I said, "Well, it's right before my payday, and I don't have any money." "Well, I can wire you the money." I said, "Okay." So the next morning, on the 14th, he called me approximately 9 or 9:30, and he says, "I'm going to wire you the money for you to come get me." And I do have this right here showing the $40 that he did wire me on that day. And he said, "That's okay."
Miss West, don't get mad at her, madam. Everything she's telling me is true.
I know it is. I know it
Okay,
is.
every
I'm not
single
mad
thing.
at her.
Good. Don't be upset with her.
Yeah, I'm not. It would be him, not her. Yeah, I know that.
Go ahead.
Okay. He said, don't worry about the trip home. I will be with you. I will keep you safe. I said, fine. Pick me up at my mother's house. I've got all my stuff packed. All I'm taking is my clothes and my guitar. I'll be over at my mother's house. Come pick me up over there. I said, okay.
So you got in the car, you picked up the money,
Yes,
you drove
ma'am.
400 miles, you get to the mother's house, and what do you find?
I pulled up and there was a truck, I don't know what kind of Suburban, something like that. And he's standing beside the Suburban in the passenger side. Someone, I don't know who, is sitting in the driver's seat. And he turns around like this and he looks at me and he goes, okay? I didn't know what that meant. I said, what? She jumps out of the truck and runs as fast as she can towards my car, up by the driver's side, takes her fist like this, hits the hood like this. I backed up. I got out of there. I'm not a violent person, never have been, never will be.
Did you make a dent on?
Yes, ma'am, she did. And I have a
Can I
picture.
see it, please? Donna?
It's this one up here by the
Donna,
windshield.
darling, don't fib.
I'm not fibbing.
It's the one up by the
I did
windshield,
not
ma'am.
touch her car.
Yes, you did.
No, I
Yes,
did not.
she did.
Sure you
No,
did.
I did not. I never got out of the truck.
Oh, that's some bad. Oh, this is from the deer.
Yes, ma'am. It's
that's
the
from the
top
deer.
on the hood up by the
I
windshield.
did not touch her car.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, then you turned around.
Then I backed up and I left.
And then you hit a deer on the way home.
I went to my son's house because he lives there in Durant, and I was very upset. I was shaking and everything, and I was thinking, what in the world? You know, she's there. She's not going to let him go because, well, I won't say. But anyway, I called my mother back in Texas, and I told her, that number that's on the caller ID, I think that's Byron's cell phone number. Will you give it to me? She said yes. I wrote it down. I called, she answered, and started cussing at me, something violently. I hung up. My son said, Mom, call her and talk to her. Tell her what he has been doing to you all this time, because my children have watched me suffer for 3 years through this.
Listen to me. You can only suffer if you allow yourself to be
Exactly,
a victim.
but I did.
You did. That's.
I admit that.
He's the perpetrator, but you have an opportunity to say, don't call me anymore.
And
I don't want to
have.
hear you anymore.
And I have, ma'am.
Well, I'm glad you have, because he sure doesn't look like the sharpest tack in the box. I mean, I don't know what all you women are fighting over.
But anyway, when I called back, I told Donna everything. I said, you know, all this has happened. She told me, I'll try to use nice language. She told me if I would meet her someplace, she would kick my... I told her I was not violent like her. I didn't settle matters like that, and I wasn't going to meet her. She said that Byron told her it was all a big joke. He wanted her to be mad at him, I suppose, from the fight before.
I got
didn't
you.
even
I
know
got
about
you.
that.
You didn't understand why. I understand why, because she was very nice to the store clerk. That really made him angry.
Yes.
I don't even want you to say anything. You're going to tell me that you never put your hand on her car.
No, I didn't.
Good. Now I heard you. Now I heard you. That's nice. Now let's get to you. You have anything to say for yourself?
Yes.
Like what?
Well, the $40 that I did wire transfer her and that I did tell my wife about, she said that she was wanting to come to Oklahoma to visit her son and new grandbaby. And that she had enough money to get down here, but did not have enough to get back. And if I was going to go with her anyway, why would I mail her money to come down here and back on? And when she came down here, and I'd been telling her for years not to harass my family. I'd talk to her and talk to them, but she went to my mom after she had quadruple bypass and tried to find out where me and Donna live. She has left dirty
Listen
notes.
to me. She did all of that before December 13th?
Yes, ma'am.
Then what'd you call her for on December 13th,
I guess
sir?
I still had feelings about the kids.
Do I have to be? Do I have to be?
No, I'm just trying to get down these lyrics because this makes a great country western song.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
You did something wrong by buying black market tickets. She did something wrong by buying black market tickets. You screw a little bit, she screws a little bit, and then you come into court and say, please help me because I was screwed more than her.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tina Brewer says her ex-boyfriend's wife, Donna West, pounded the hood of her car in a fit of rage. Tina Tina says she was so upset she ran over a deer.
Mr. West, do you have any children?
No, ma'am.
Don't. Mr. West, under ordinary circumstances, I would tell Miss Brewer that really she didn't have a claim against you for the most serious damage that was caused by the deer,
Yes, ma'am.
which she hit on the way going home, because your actions were too far removed from hitting this deer in the road. However, under the circumstances, I find that but for your actions in putting her in a position where she had to travel 800 miles round trip in a 24-hour period, 400 miles to you, based upon your lies, and 400 miles back, you could have anticipated that when she arrived there and found out that this was all your way of getting even with your wife for flirting with the store clerk, that it would have been a very stressful time for her.
Yes, ma'am.
And therefore, when she turned around to go home, she was agitated and stressed and had an accident with the car. And I find that your actions were the proximate cause of that near disaster with her car. You were an unkind, uncaring, selfish, self-centered fool who acted like a teenager when his wife was cozying up to somebody, probably taller than you are, and you didn't like it. So you decided to make her a little jealous. And the only one that you had to make her jealous with was somebody that you knew you could get there in a heartbeat. Not only are you all the aforementioned things, but you're also a cruel person who's going to pay $1,900 to have a car fixed, and your counterclaim is dismissed. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. Step out.
He has strung me along for over 3 years,
I love my wife. She knows that.
telling me how much he loved me, even calling my kids and telling them that he loved me.
She's trying to break me and my
Yeah,
wife up so
exactly.
she can have another shot at me.
I'm done with him. I'm done with her. I'm done with them all.
Customer service rep Lisa Clemens is suing her ex-boyfriend, carpenter Ricardo Powell, for the return of property and damages due to an assault.
Order. All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 438 on the calendar in the matter of Clemens versus Powell. You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Ms. Clemens, according to your complaint, you and the defendant lived together. You claimed that in September of last year he assaulted you.
Yes.
Then again, there was some sort of an altercation in October of last year, and you were arrested. And it is your claim that after that, you were barred from going to the house, and Mr. Powell got rid of all of your property.
No, he has all my property.
You want it back, or you want what he got rid of? You want the value of it? Mr. Powell says that there was never an assault in September, at least not one perpetrated by him.
Correct.
And that the property that you're speaking of was property that you were supposed to retrieve with the assistance of a third party pursuant to a court order. You never got a third party to come and get your property, and he got rid of it.
Correct.
Okay. How long did you live together, Miss Clemens?
2 years, a little over 2 years.
From when to when?
From November of 2000 until October of 2001.
2002. Were you living in his apartment, your apartment, or is it an apartment that you moved into together?
He moved into my apartment, and after that, we moved into a house.
So you were living in 2002 in a leased house?
Yes.
And in whose name was the lease?
Both of ours.
Is that right?
This is correct.
And when did the lease expire?
February 1st of 2003.
So at the time that you left the house in October of 2002, there was still a few months to go on the lease. Is that
Yes.
right? All right. Now, I want you to tell me first, since you're suing for this assault that allegedly happened in September of 2002, I want you to tell me the circumstances surrounding that assault.
Me and Mr. Powell got into an argument, and basically it was the same thing, arguing about who did what, and basically we weren't getting along. We weren't getting along at all. And he hit me.
What time of the day? Where were you?
And it was nighttime, and I was in my room.
And he just hit you. Did he hit you with a fist? Did he hit you with an object? Did he hit you with a hand?
His open hand.
And what happened after he hit you?
I cried for a while. We argued some more, and he left out the room.
And then what happened?
The next day, I woke up feeling sore all over, so I went to the hospital.
You have a hospital report?
Yes, I do.
Let me see it. Where were you hit?
Here, there, and on my other arm.
You said he slapped you with an open fist.
He slapped me and he hit me a couple times.
You didn't tell me that.
I'm sorry, I wasn't clear, but he slapped me and he hit me a couple times.
Did you go to the police?
No, I did not. I refused
After you went to the hospital, where did you go?
I went back home.
Did you tell them at the hospital that you have a safe place to go?
Not exactly, no, because...
Well, that's what they say that you told them.
Yes,
that you had a safe place to go, and the safe place to go is you went home.
Yes, because he was at work. It was safe at home. He was gone.
Well, did you pack up your things and leave?
No, I did not.
Why not?
Because I was in love with Mr. Powell. We had had arguments before.
So then if you were in love with Mr. Powell and you decided to stay, and I'm not interested in your suing him now because he slapped you in September when you went home and you decided to stay. Do you have children together?
No, we do not.
So the only thing that you have together is a lease?
Yes.
Do you work?
Yes.
Were you working at the time?
Yes.
So then you're not financially dependent upon him for any reason?
Oh, no, he was financially dependent on me.
So that there was no reason why you couldn't just pick up and leave?
I understand that, ma'am.
Who are these people here with you today?
My best friend, M.J. Andrews, and my ex-husband who took me to the hospital, and they're here with me to support me.
So you could have gone to either one of their houses, is that right, if you felt that you were in danger?
I don't feel like I was in that much danger because...
So then why are you suing him now?
I don't... The suing him for the violence is not important. What's important today is my things that were left in the house, and I did try to obtain...
Just 1 second. I'm not there yet. So what you're telling me is you just threw in this September incident for good measure.
They asked me what happened, and I told them.
Well, you could tell them, but you had no inkling to sue him for this. Fine. That's good, because for me, you wouldn't get anything. I'm not even sure that it happened. Now I'd like you to tell me what happened in October. I'm going to you because, according to you, there was an assault in October.
Correct.
And she was arrested.
Correct.
Let me hear what happened.
Okay, basically what happened was, as she may have mentioned, that we were not getting along at this point in our relationship because of the different mood swings that she would have, as well as the what I would characterize as obsessive, possessive type of behavior towards me in our relationship. Yes.
How long did you know Miss Clemens?
I knew her for 2 years.
When you knew her, was she taking medication?
I wasn't aware of her taking medication until maybe 6 months in our relationship.
Either an antidepressant. Is that what you take, antidepressants?
Yes. I'm no longer on them. I no longer take them.
But you were taking them for quite a while.
Yes, and Mr. Powell knew because...
That's all. You were taking them for quite a while.
But Mr. Powell was aware of the time that I got the prescription, and he knew how long I was taking them and why.
Between 1995 and 2000, had you been taking antidepressants or any other psychiatric medication?
I only started taking Zoloft, which is an antidepressant, in 2001.
Okay.
Prior to that, no,
nothing. In October, sir,
yes.
You want to tell me what happened?
As she said, she was prescribed, I said she was prescribed medication, but she wasn't taking it, or if she was taking this medication, she was taking it with the addition of alcohol at the same time, which basically caused the violent mood swings. There was a lot of violence anyway. October 3rd, it escalated to the point where she pushed me through a glass door. The glass was already broken from an incident that she had broken this glass before for being upset with me, and that was basically how she showed her anger, was to break things and throw things. Anyway, the police were called in. She was arrested at that point.
On the 3rd of October?
Correct. There's a temporary protection order that's given with any domestic violence case. She violated that temporary protection order by constantly harassing and stalking me, as well as coming by the house, as well as the number of phone calls that she would call. Like I said, I have an answer machine that takes 50 messages. She would fill those up totally. I presented this to the police department, and they rearrested her for violation of the
When did they rearrest her?
November the 4th, I want to say, Your Honor. I'm not sure exactly when, but at that court date, she was dealing with some bad check things, as well as a preliminary trial on this domestic violence. They rearrested her that day because they had a arrest warrant out for her, but they couldn't find her. They got her when we went to court that day, so she was rearrested at that time. So I made sure that the judge understood that my problem is only this. I want this woman to deal with the medication and help herself. I even told her I don't even want her to have jail time, as opposed to, could you just make sure that there's something in place that she gets treatment for her symptoms. And basically what she was doing was she was causing me and my son, she was jeopardizing me and my son's life through all these different things.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
After she basically kept violating judge's orders and putting me and my son's life in jeopardy, I felt that there was no need for me to keep this going on. This civil case is basically the same example of her trying to keep some type of relationship going here, Your Honor.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lisa Clemens says ex-boyfriend Ricardo Powell owes for the return of property and for an assault. Ricardo says Lisa is a violent woman.
Mrs. Clemens, in November, did you plead guilty to any of these charges, and were you given a year's probation?
I pled guilty to the violation of the protection order, and they dismissed the domestic violence.
The underlying.
The only reason I placed those phone calls to Mr. Powell in violation of the protection order was because I had no longer had any of my things. Mr. Powell denied a third party on two other occasions.
Wait just one second. I'm not there yet. I asked you if you pled guilty. The answer is yes. You had an attorney, is that right?
Yes, and I spent a night in jail.
Okay. Now, as part of the order, the judge told you that you could send a third party for your property.
Yes, but Mr. Powell...
Just a second. What was the name of the third party that you designated to get your property?
My Aunt Donna. Mr. Powell denied.
Just a second. What was wrong with these two people here to get your property?
My aunt was available with me in court, and therefore the people, when I left the courthouse that day, we designated her because the court officers were there.
Who designated her?
My lawyer and I, because she was there. She was available. She was in court.
Was that part of the order?
No, it's not. The person isn't designated on the court papers. I went back to court, Your Honor.
I'm not there yet, Ms. Clement. I'm trying to go in order. When, for the first time, were you contacted by Ms. to get her property?
There was never any contact business. There was only contact by Lisa a week after the trial.
Just a second.
Yes.
A week after
the trial.
The trial.
Correct.
Did you, Ms. Clements, go to the defendant's house?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Did your aunt go to the defendant's house?
No, she did not. I have a witness here today that he claims was with me. I have not even driven down the street.
Just a second. Is there any reason why you brought these two witnesses here today instead of your aunt?
Because my aunt is working and she could not get off of work.
Don't these people work?
Yes, but...
Listen to me, Ms. Clements. The defense that Mr. Powell has in this case is that you were instructed by the court to have a third party retrieve your property. His defense is you never had a third party contact him in order to get that property. You say that you did, and that third party was your aunt. So it would seem to me that that is a key witness. These people aren't key witnesses. This person was the person you designated. Why would you not bring a pivotal witness who you say can testify that you were trying to comply with the judge's order?
My aunt was not, to me, a pivotal key witness in this instance.
Well, to me, she is.
I understand that,
Okay.
Your Honor.
Now, I'd like to see a list of the property that you say you left behind at Mr. Powell's. Do you still have the bed with the mattress and box spring?
No.
Chest of drawers?
No.
Jewelry?
No.
What'd you do with it?
She had a couple bags of clothes, some books, and she does have one dresser. It's a desk. Right, that's it. Other than that, everything else is thrown out, which was shoes, it was toothbrushes, personal items, things of that nature. After she basically kept violating judge's orders and putting me and my son's life in jeopardy, I felt that there was no need for me to keep this going on. This civil case is basically the same example of her trying to keep some type of relationship going here, Your Honor.
Mr. Powell, I want you to tell me, sir, when she was arrested in October.
Correct.
Now, up until that time, the two of you had lived together for a couple of years. When you live together for a couple of years, you accumulate property. You have your clothes and things. Did there ever come a time when you gave certain of her property over to somebody so that she would have clothes and shoes?
As soon as she got out of jail, she was there within 2 hours with the police escort to get her things. They gave her things. They allowed her to take things out that day. So she took most of her things that first day.
Miss Clemens, on October the 4th, were you accompanied by a police officer, easy to verify, back to Mr. Powell's house to retrieve some of your property?
Yes, I was accompanied by the police officers.
And how long did you stay with the police officer which is also easy to verify, in Mr. Powell's house.
Mr. Powell rushed us out after about 20 minutes. He told me to get what I could get and get out.
No, there was a police officer with you.
Yes, and
there was a police officer with you. I assume that if you were there with an officer, you wanted to get things that were most valuable to you. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Why didn't you take your jewelry?
Because the jewelry was what I consumed. What jewelry I had on was most important to me. The jewelry that was left in the house were things I did not wear every day. The clothing I obtained was stuff that I needed to get through the week. Mr. Powell stopped me from getting everything. I wish I could.
I'm not talking about everything. I'm asking you about a specific thing. I'm asking you about jewelry. To me, woman goes into a house, she grabs cash and jewelry first, and then you go to your pocketbook.
Your Honor.
What? Go ahead.
I have this whole situation with Lisa has been such a terrifying thing. As I said, I've even neglected to countersue her for the amount of rent left on our lease, as well as the damages to the house, which I have pictures of right here. Those damages would be in a total of somewhere between $800 and $900. The rent would be the total of like $1,400. I don't want nothing else to do with this whole situation whatsoever, so I've neglected to countersue.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
When did you go to get her things?
No, I never got a chance to because the officer called me back and said he changed his mind.
No, I don't believe. Let's not get involved with things that you really don't know anything about.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lisa Clemens says ex-boyfriend Ricardo Powell won't return her property. She also claims Ricardo assaulted her.
I would like to know, Mr. Powell, on what date you disposed of, according to you, these couple of bags of clothing and shoes.
November the 19th, the day that she came over a week after the trial in violation of the judge's order. There was no more purpose at that point. She was going to keep violating the protection order. She was going to keep violating the judge's order.
Now, she was found guilty on the violation.
She was found guilty on the domestic violence. She had it mixed up, Your Honor. That's the only thing I'm clarifying. She was found guilty of the domestic violence. I plea bargained her to dismiss the violation of the temporary protection order.
So she wouldn't go to jail?
Correct. That she would get this counseling.
Right. So she wouldn't go to jail because
Correct.
if you're found guilty on the violation, what?
Correct. Yes, sir.
You want to say something?
Yes.
Well, step up for a second. Tell me what you want to say. Your last name is?
My last name is Twyman.
Go ahead.
I went with the police to their house to get her clothes and things.
Is that the day she was released?
This was the second time, I believe. And he would not let her get anything. And the police called both their lawyers. And I believe both lawyers agreed that she could get these things. And he told them at first she could come and get them. And then the police called me back.
Just a second. Who did he tell she could come and get?
He told the police.
How do you know that?
Because the officer called me at home, at my house, and told me that I could go and get the things without her.
You, not her.
Not her.
You.
Me. Right.
Fine. When did you go to get her things?
Now,
listen to me carefully. When did you go to get her things?
I never got a chance to because the officer called me back and said he changed his mind.
No. I don't believe.
Oh, well,
that I don't believe. Yeah. He said you could go.
Exactly.
Was she going with you?
No, she was not allowed to go.
Good.
She was there to...
Now let me hear your version of these events.
Okay, Your Honor. After the police, they said she has a reasonable expectation to come after the domestic violence case to come back and get some things out of her house. I gave them the run of the house to get what they have to do because I understand the police officers. After that, I was advised by the police officers as well as the prosecutor's office that anything else after this would have to be dealt with in court. They came over 3 extra more times after that in violation of what everybody is stating.
Who's they?
She came over more than once. He came over the second time after the police with her, too. She was there with him the second time.
Where was she?
They were in the truck in front of the house.
Did you ever go over to the house in the truck with her? Shh. The answer is either yes or no.
Yes.
Well, you can't do that, sir.
Okay, well, we met the police there at the house. And we were not in front of your house. We were 2 doors down, actually. We called the police before going to his house.
She can't go there, sir. Don't you understand that?
Exactly. I understand that. Okay, Jan, if you may, if she can't go there, why would he have her come there and pay the rent and then put her out.
Again,
after the whole situation.
Let's not get involved with things that you really don't know anything about.
I know
Okay?
about it.
Okay? Sit down.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
You have to put a period. You have to say this did not work out. The relationship is over. I'm not going to have anything to do with him. I lost some. He may have lost some. I lost more. That's the way it usually goes. It's over. Forget it. Go buy a new TV and a new hamper. Do you understand?
Yes,
it's
I do.
finished. It's over.
Yes,
if you stop taking your medication because you don't feel as if you need
I don't
it
need it.
anymore,
I'm not with him anymore.
if you don't feel as if you need it anymore, that's a judgment that you're going to have to make. I'm not so sure, Ms. Clements, that that's the best idea. However, if you think that that's a good idea, fine. Cross him off and say it's over and let it go. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Mr. Powell is not a man. A man would not do this to a woman.
Obviously, the judge went on ahead, saw through the situation, saw that this was a situation that was bad for the both of us.
The only reason I contacted him after my arrest was to get my things.
And it was best that we just basically part, which is all I ever wanted.
He knows what happened, and I know what happened, and he's wrong. For some unknown reason, he thinks I'm coming back. I'm just not that stupid anymore.
What she felt for me, basically what she calls love, which I always said was a terrible love. I'm hoping that it's all over with. I'm not sure through the aggression that I've seen from her that it may not be over with.
He's out of my life for good, and I'll never go back.
Daycare provider Sandy Brown is suing her son, carpet installer Henry Brown, for bail and household expenses.
Order. All rise.
Yeah, it's case number 48 on the calendar in the matter of Brown versus Brown.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mrs. Brown, the defendant is your son.
Right.
Is that right? Are those prescription glasses, sir?
Yes, ma'am, very much so.
Well, would you take them off, please? Because if you have to read anything, I'll let you put them back on. Very good.
They're not for reading, they're for seeing you, Your Honor.
Well, put them back on again for a second, sir. Take a good look. Now take them off. Mrs. Brown, your lawsuit seeks return of money for several things. The first thing is bail money that you claim that you loaned to your son at some point. The second thing is for mortgage payments on a house that you are currently living in. And from what I gather from your complaint, there was some sort of an arrangement that your son would make the mortgage payments on this house, and ultimately the house would belong to him. You would live in the house, take care of your grandson, your son, correct? And then there was some sort of an altercation with your son, you put him out of the house, and you believe that he should continue to make the mortgage payments on the house as per your agreement.
No.
Oh, good. Glad to hear that.
I am only asking for a mortgage, well, it's not just mortgage, it's household expenses for the month of August, which he lived in my house. That was August of 2001 was the last month that he lived in my house, and he did not pay anything.
Okay, so it's just for 1 month?
It's just for 1 month, and it's $1,500 for the household expenses because that was our agreement.
How much was the mortgage payment?
$758.
Okay. How much was the bail?
The bail was $1,000.
And you have proof of that?
Yes. I have a bank statement here where I took the money out of the bank.
No, I need the bail statement, not where you took the money out.
I could not find it. I looked and looked, and I could not find the bail statement. I don't know if he has it or what.
All right. And the second thing that you want is for verbal abuse, which you don't get paid for, because you're suing him for $4,000. Way over. Okay, and the mortgage payment is $758. Okay, let's get to the bail first. Tell me the circumstances surrounding this bail.
The bail was, he was driving a car that was illegally licensed, and he got pulled over, and they took him to jail. And I can't remember if he had some other...
When was this?
This was in June of 2001.
Does that sound familiar, sir?
It sounds familiar in January, yes.
January of 2001?
No, it wasn't January. It was in the spring. The weather was beautiful.
Oh. Were you taken to jail, sir?
Yep.
Did you have bail?
Yep.
Where'd you get it from?
I have retrieved bail from Michael, a friend of mine. My mom has put up collateral for her house more than once, but just collateral. No. I paid $1,000 and the collateral for that particular bail. The one he's talking about was for another charge that he was charged with, and his friend Michael did pay that bail for him because I had no more money to pay any more bail.
Why do you think your mother would lie about posting bail for you?
That's going to be the whole case. She's used her collateral more than once. I've asked her
More than once for your bail?
Yep.
Well,
Yes,
how many
ma'am.
times have you been arrested, sir?
A few.
How many is a few?
A number?
Do you not? Are you telling me you don't remember?
Well, Your Honor, I've absolutely been in trouble. I haven't recently, but yes, I've been in a deal of trouble and asked her for collateral at least 4 times.
Okay, well, this time she says in June of 2001, she also had to post the bail. So if you can't remember how many times you've been arrested, maybe you don't remember who posted the bail all the time.
I remember exactly who posted the bail, Your Honor.
Well, who posted the bail in June?
Michael.
She said that that was in January.
No,
There was no arrest in June. I was only arrested in January. I went to the court dates.
I could
I
be
know
wrong
what the
with
date
the
is.
month. It was in the spring. Those 2 cases were very close together.
Okay. Tell me, Mrs. Brown, did you get a call from your son from jail?
Yes.
Well, tell me about the phone call. Maybe that will
He
jog
just
his
called
memory.
and said that he had been arrested and he needed to get bailed out, and could I get the money? And I said yes. The money that I used was money that was supposed to stay in the bank. That's why I am asking for the money back, because the money was for something else.
What was it for?
It was for, we were going to do some work on the house.
Let me look at your statement. You say that you took out $1,000 so that you would have exactly when you took out the $1,000.
Well, this is showing up on my June, so that's why I said June.
Well, it would tell you the date in June.
6/4, $1,000.
Now, tell me exactly where you took this $1,000. Look at me.
I bailed him from a bondsman in Tacoma. I could not find that bondsman. I looked in the phone book and I made calls and I could not remember the name of that bondsman. I bailed him out. He went to court. And then, of course, you don't get that $1,000 back because that was the 10%.
Let's get to the house payment in August. Did you, in fact, live in the house in August, sir?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Beginning of August until when?
Till, actually, I think it was after, more like the 1st or 2nd of September, I think.
And your arrangement with your mother was that you would take care of the household expenses?
The agreement of me buying the home was me buying the home, yes, and everything involved with it.
Did you pay for August?
The money for paying for the August rent was supposed to be paid on that Friday. Something had come up, I didn't get to it. That Friday night is the night that she came home and did her rampage and called the cops and kicked us out that night, Friday night, assuming that I'd already paid, which I had not gotten a chance to pay yet.
But it's due the beginning of August, not the end.
It gets paid, Your Honor. It gets paid every single month.
So your mother is correct that you did not make the $1,500 payment that you were supposed to make?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Is there any defense to that $1,500, Mr. Brown?
Yeah, she threw me and my son out in the street in the middle of the night.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You must have had some lollapalooza of a fight with your mother.
There was no fight.
You mean your mother went through a psychotic episode?
She does not like my son's mother.
That's not what happened at all.
And later today,
I don't remember. It was such a long time ago.
It's not so long ago in the scheme of things.
You know, I have the emails when I had gotten the order of protection, and...
Let's get to the money!
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sandy Brown says her son Henry Brown owes for 1 month of household expenses. Henry says his mom threw him out on the street in the middle of the night.
Go ahead.
I came to give her the money for that mortgage the next week after she had told me I couldn't come around, told me I couldn't have my stuff, told me my son couldn't have his stuff, and I'd come to have a couple cars towed at her request, at which time the police were called by her.
Well, you must have had some lollapalooza of a fight with your mother.
There was no fight. I was at home with my son, with my son's mother, with her daughter, and with my 13-year-old nanny when she came home at 10 o'clock at night and kicked and booted me out.
You mean your mother went through a psychotic episode?
She does not like my son's mother. That's been her issue for about a month before this happened. That was her only issue. We had a fight about her before she left, I think it was on a Wednesday, and she came home Friday evening, and her first words were, she has to leave, she has to go, she has to leave. And I told her, no, it's 10 o'clock at night, and she got on the phone, called the cops, and told the cops I had been abusive and everything else. I'm standing there with cooking utensils, cooking food.
Why did you put your son out, Mrs. Brown?
That's not what happened at all.
Well, what
we
happened?
had been having an argument that whole week.
About what?
I did want him to move out because I didn't appreciate him yelling at me, getting in my face, yelling at me. I did not appreciate him saying derogatory remarks about me. This is my home. I've lived here for 28 years, and I didn't feel like I had to put up with it. They had taken it upon themselves to move my furniture around. I did not yell at him. I said, Hank, I said, I don't want callers spending the night here. That's what I told him. And he just started yelling at me. And I said, okay, you need to move out. And he says, I'm not moving. I said, either you move, I'm going to go, or I'm going to call the police. He said, go ahead. So I said, fine. So I did. He had a warrant. He left so he wouldn't get arrested. 2 weeks later.
What did he have a warrant for?
I believe it's non-payment of child support. He has an older daughter. Then on that Monday, which was like the 3rd of September, I went straight to court and filed for a protection order.
Okay.
He came to pick up his cars. I called the police, gave the police a protection order. They served him, and he went to jail on that same arrest warrant 2 weeks later.
Not on anything that had to do with you?
No. It didn't have anything to do with me.
Okay. Did he ultimately get his personal property and his son's personal property from the house?
Well, yes, he did. And by the way, when we went to finalize the protection order, I told him then, I need your stuff out of my house in 2 weeks because I need to have a roommate move in with me because I can't afford this house by myself. He never came. Ultimately, I put his son's bedroom set on the deck. I told my son, tell him to come and get Hanky's bedroom set before it is ruined, because by then it was like the end of October. He never came.
Where was he living?
Around.
With his son?
With his son. He's still living around with his son.
Okay. Well, I don't have a counterclaim for that. And in any event, I find that you did, in fact, post his bail, $1,000, and he owes you $1,500, almost acknowledged for August of 2001. So I'm entering a judgment for $2,500. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
This woman, out of spite, has put me and my son out of our home that we had a good faith agreement on.
The agreement was if I died, he could inherit the house.
Don't trust nobody.
I guess he thought I was going to die in 2 or 3 years. I don't know.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Sims versus Cruz. Step forward, please.
Serviceman Billy Sims is suing the daughter of his late father's girlfriend, 21-year-old Christina Cruz. Billy says Christina stole a cell phone off of his father's dead body.
Mr. Sims, your father passed away in June of this year?
That's correct, Your Honor.
According to your complaints, he passed away. He had a heart attack in his car.
That's correct, Your Honor.
And the defendant was in the car with him, along with her boyfriend?
I'm not exactly sure if she was either in the car or if she was following behind him in another vehicle, but they were traveling together.
How did they know each other, do you know?
The defendant's mother had a relationship with my father.
Is that right? So your mom and his dad
were dating.
When his father had the heart attack, were you in the car with him?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ah. And this is all about a cell phone.
That's correct.
Because it is your claim that the defendant took your dad's cell phone after he had the heart attack and died.
Yes, Your
in
Honor.
their presence
Yes,
in the
Your
car.
Honor.
And Ms. Cruz says that she has the cell phone, but that he gave it to her.
Okay.
June what did your father pass away?
It was June the 18th of this year, Your Honor.
What time?
I have a copy of his death certificate.
May I see it, please?
Sure. The coroner put his time of death at about 2:30 p.m. Of course, the...
Okay. Did there ever come a time when you got property that was on his person at the time that he died?
Yes, Your Honor.
When was that?
The following day, on the 19th, that morning, the county coroner called me and my brother to come and get his personal effects. Now, we had to get his vehicle.
Okay. What personal effects did you pick up?
Okay, I picked up his wallet, his checkbook.
Okay, wallet. Was there anything in the wallet?
His identification and some of those things.
Any cash?
There was no cash in his wallet, Your Honor.
Do you know where your father was going on the 18th of June?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. He was doing, my father was retired. He spent most of his time just doing yard work for people, doing handyman jobs really for little or no pay. And he was assisting the defendant's mother on doing some of this work.
Okay. When was the last time you had spoken to your father from the cell phone?
The morning before his death, probably maybe about an hour or an hour and a half before his actual death.
Did you call him or did he call you?
He called me twice, Your Honor.
From his cell phone. Prior to that, for what period of time had your father had this cell phone?
He's probably had the phone almost 2 years he's had this cell phone, Your Honor.
And is that the phone that he uses primarily for his communication with you?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right, now, Ms. Cruz, it is your claim, your defense, and you say you do have the phone, and you did use the phone, but that it was a gift to you.
Yes, Honor.
Now, I'd like you to tell me your version of the events when Mr. Sims' dad picked you up, because that's what happens. He picked you up along with this person?
Yeah.
Who was this
my
person?
Witness. Oh, that's my boyfriend.
So let me hear. He came and picked you up at your mom's home?
No, he came over my house and picked us up, and we were going to go swimming. But first, we were going to do some stuff for my mama.
Okay. Now tell me about the cell phone.
And he took me and my boyfriend to the side. And
To the side of what?
Of his truck.
Yes.
And said, y'all are like my kids and everything, and I'm going to give you my cell phone. We have a deal. You pay me $50 a month. And we agreed on it. All three of us agreed on it.
Just a second. So you're saying he took you on the side of the truck and said, you're like my kids.
Yes, Your Honor.
And I want you to have my cell phone. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did he have another cell phone?
No, he
just had that one cell phone?
Just that one and the house phone.
Well, but he had the cell
Yeah.
phone. That was his cell phone.
Yeah.
And as long as you knew him, he had only used that cell phone. Is that right?
Yes, Your
Is
Honor.
that right? So on that day, he said to you, you're like my kids, I want you to have the cell phone.
Yes, Your Honor.
Liar! You're a liar.
There was other witnesses
Bald-faced liar. You took his cell phone off his dead body.
No,
and you
he's not
probably also took the cash out of his wallet before the police got there. Not a question in my mind. Why would a man, unless he anticipates his own death, who has used a cell phone for 2 years to communicate with the rest of the world, all of a sudden take you and this person who was sitting over here and say, I want you to have my method of communication? Why in the world would he do that? You're like my kids. If you're like my kids, then he goes and buys you a cell phone and said, here's a cell phone.
No, because he got tired of carrying it around and everything.
It was too heavy. It was too, just a minute. Please do me a favor. Put your hand down. I don't have to listen to that baloney anymore. It's baloney. Could I please see the expenses that you are claiming for the cell phone?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did they use it, by the way?
Yes, Your Honor. They used it. Those 3 days, there were approximately about 400 minutes that were used. And I have those.
Well, just a minute. How much was the cost?
The total cost for the cell phone minutes, it was 35 cents a minute. I don't have that itemized. But.
Well, just a minute. Did you ever get a bill from them for this?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, I want to see the bill that you got.
This has the outstanding minutes that he had left over in excess that we had to terminate because it could have been transferred over to his next of kin. That's what the first statement says. That's from the wireless people.
No. I understand what you're saying. Mr. Sims, listen to me. What you're saying is he had sort of credits, that it didn't cost you hundreds and hundreds of dollars because they took the phone, but that you as his beneficiary or next of kin could have used those minutes if you wanted to from his cell phone plan. Is that
Yes,
what your
yes,
plan
Your
is? Get a life. Where's the phone?
We don't have it anymore.
What'd you do with it?
The guy that was staying with Billy, his daddy, took it. And it's my brother.
Your Honor, there was no one staying with my father. He lived alone. But we asked her the Friday when we first found out that she was the one that had the phone. When she returned the phone call, she said that we were not going to get the phone back, that she got to the phone before we did, and that he's dead, and she's just as entitled to it as...
Let me tell you something. Some people will be happy, productive, moral people their whole lives, and they will raise, hopefully, happy, productive, moral offspring. And some will not. We're not talking about a lot of money, but we are talking about those people who have the capability of being moral people and those who lack the capability of being moral people. Yes, we're talking about a $40 phone bill, which you're going to get, and let's say your father really had a state-of-the-art telephone. A really good one costs $150, is that right?
Yes,
really
Your Honor.
good
It's
one?
on the estimate.
$150 plus 40 is $190. You don't get paid for the minutes, right? And I want you to, you have to feel sorry for them. I want you to feel sorry for them. Don't be angry with them. They're never going to be able to get smarter. They're never going to get more morals that anywhere relate to what civilized people do, because anybody that could take property off a dead person, which is what they did, will never change. Because I don't believe that anybody, your father's age, drives a car and rides around with not a dollar in his wallet.
That's correct, Your Honor.
I don't believe that that happens. That doesn't happen. So if you're a death scavenger, you're never going to change. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $190. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
We didn't took it. He gave us it.
There are people in this world that are going to act that way, so instead of being angry, pity them, and that's what I do.
I felt sorry too because he died on me.
I'm very happy with the judge's decision, and I'm glad that we can finally put this part of my father's life to rest.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Walkling versus McKnight. Step forward, please.
22-year-old waitress Brandy Walkling is suing manufacturing laborer Shane McKnight for the cost to repair her car. Shane says the damage was the result of a freak accident.
Miss Walkling, you do not know the defendant. Is that correct?
Correct. No, I serve him every once in a while in the bar I work in.
But other than that, you have no relationship with him whatsoever.
Right.
It is your claim that his car hit and damaged your car.
Correct.
I want you to tell me when that happened.
That happened on March 8th.
Where?
In the parking lot at the bar that I work at.
What time?
I get off work about 1:30, 1:45 a.m.
Tell me what happened.
I walked out of the bar, just got off work, and I noticed the rear end of his car was like sitting about this far from the side of my car, which I'll show pictures in a minute. And it was running, and the reverse lights were on, and the keys were in it, obviously, and it was locked. And so I didn't know what to do. So we went and we got the police, and eventually Shane came back, and he went through the parking lot a couple times, obviously, because he'd been drinking. And he had claimed that his car had went from this point in the parking lot here and reversed itself all the way into my car while he was gone getting his extra set of keys.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 22-year-old waitress Brandy Walkling is suing manufacturing laborer Shane McKnight for the cost to repair her car. Shane says the damage was the result of a freak accident.
So what he's saying is he locked his keys in the car. He wasn't in the car, and therefore he's not responsible if his car rolled and damaged your car. That's your defense. Is that
Correct.
right, sir?
Yes.
And the car, when you arrived back in the parking lot, was not where you had parked it.
That's
Is
correct.
that right?
Yes.
The keys were locked in the car.
Yes, ma'am.
So clearly nobody had gotten into the car to drive it. It had to have rolled from one place to another.
I disagree.
Tell me what you think happens.
There was a bunch of people from the bar where he made an attempt to get into the car. There was a guy there with one of those Jimmy type of bars that goes in between the window and the door. Several attempts were made to get into the car using that. And so I left to go call a tow truck to have them come out and unlock the door. And by the time I got back, the car had moved into the position that she claims.
So so you don't know what happened to the car?
Well, I maintain that one of the guys that was using the Jimmy to make an attempt to get into the car did get into the car while I was gone, backed it up, and staged the whole thing. That's
okay, so let me understand your defense, sir. Your defense is that while you were gone, one of the people that you had asked for help
yes,
had in fact gotten into the car, backed it up into her car.
Yeah, about 3 inches or so away. It wasn't even touching when I arrived.
Well, maybe it bounced off. She's not here because her car wasn't damaged.
Right.
She's here because her car was damaged. And then when he realized that he had backed it up into her car, got out, left the car running, and relocked the car.
Yes.
That's your defense?
Yes.
I want you to hum for me the theme from The Twilight Zone. Listen to me. I think I know what happened, Mr. McKnight. You left the keys in your car. The car was running. And you left to go get a tow truck. While you were gone, E.T. landed in the parking lot. With his little finger, you know that long finger? Managed to get in, unlock the car, but nobody could see him because you have to be under 10 years old to see him. Got into the car, backed into her car, right? And then the ship took off. Let me see pictures of the car, please. Nice. Show them to Mr. McKnight so he knows what he's going to pay for, and let me see the estimate.
I have 2 estimates here, and I'll give it to you.
Cheaper of the 2 estimates is $1,046.
Correct.
Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all. Thank you.
Parties may phone home. Step out, please.
My car got hit, and I just wanted him to pay for it.
I just disagree with what the plaintiff alleges.
He was to just not call me back when I talked to him, and he wouldn't give me his insurance information.
Don't lock your keys in your car.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Chandler versus Chapman. Step forward, please.
Teacher James Chandler is suing the ex-wife of his girlfriend's son, 21-year-old collections agent Trista Chapman, for wrecking his car. James says Trista took the car off-road and broke the axle.
Mr. Chandler, the defendant was driving your car and wrecked it.
That's correct, ma'am.
And you want her to pay for it.
Absolutely.
You didn't give her permission to drive your car.
That's correct.
How do you know her?
She is my girlfriend's son's ex-wife.
Girlfriend's son's ex-wife.
At the time they were estranged.
Now, I'm going to make a guess that the son's name is Brian.
Correct.
Because she says she had Brian's permission to drive the car. So you tell me how that came about and why you don't think you're responsible for the damage to the car.
I had asked Brian to use the car to go to a doctor's appointment.
Were you separated from Brian at the time?
Yes.
So you called Brian. And who was Brian living with?
His mother.
And the plaintiff?
Yes. I had asked him to use a car to go to a doctor's appointment. He had told me, let me call you back. Let me call my mother and ask her if it's okay. He called her, called me back.
No, you don't know what he said to his mother.
No, I don't know what was said.
But he called you back and said what?
Yes, it is okay for you to use the vehicle.
Fine.
He came, he picked me up. I dropped him back off at home. And from there, I went to my doctor's appointment.
Where was your doctor's appointment?
In Apple Valley.
Did you go alone?
Yes.
So you drove alone in the car?
Yes.
Both going there and coming home?
And when I went back, I picked up my friend to give me a ride from Brian's house to back home to where I live.
So after you finished with the doctor's appointment, you picked up a friend, and the friend was supposed to do what?
She was following me over to Brian's house to pick me up from there and take me to my home. Because
so you're driving a car, and your friend is driving in another car?
Yes.
So you're always alone in the car?
No, I had a friend with me in the car.
What friend did you have with you in the car? And where did you get her from?
She was the friend that was coming with me. When I went to pick up the car.
Pick up what car?
When I went to pick up the car from Jim's house,
just a minute. First, this is Jim.
Yes.
I thought Brian came and picked you up.
He picked me up from my home to get the car. But this was after the doctor's appointment when I went to go to my friend's house for her boyfriend because she doesn't have a driver's license for her boyfriend.
Now we're getting someplace else. Just a second. Ms. Chapman, we're going to get the story straight. I want you to understand that. You had Brian's permission to take the car and go to a doctor's appointment and then come home.
No, I had told him that I had to pick up a friend to get my own ride back home. And he said that was fine.
So you picked up a friend after your doctor's appointment, and your friend was driving in your car with you?
Yes.
And where did you go with your friend?
We went back to Brian's house.
Fine. So now you drop off the car. Where was the accident?
On the way leaving my friend's house when I had picked her up. And they were following me. I went through the desert and I hit a rock.
Went through a desert?
It was a shortcut through.
You took a shortcut? On a dirt road?
Yes.
And you hit a rock?
Yes.
And that's when the whole axle broke on the car?
Yes.
So explain to me, Miss Chapman, why you are not responsible for the damage.
Because he's saying that I did not have permission to use a car. I did have permission to use a car. When the accident happened, I called Brian and I told Brian what happened. He said, do not worry about it. I will pay for it.
Well, Brian's not here. Brian's not here. You're driving the car and you had permission to drive the car. Is that right?
Yes.
Why aren't you responsible?
Because he had told me that he was going to pay for it, and I said that was fine.
So sue him.
Yeah, he should sue him. He shouldn't be suing
No!
me.
You sue him because you have to pay for the damage. And if you have somebody that said to you, don't worry about it, I'll pay for the damage, then you'll be standing on that side and Brian will be standing on this side. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Let me see the bills to fix the car.
I also have photos of the damage.
Can I see it, please?
Yes, ma'am.
What is this lost wages for November 19th?
I'm a substitute teacher, and I had to take a day off of school and turn a job down in order to go retrieve the car. So it cost me $120.
Get that from Brian. By the way, just for my own information, did you speak to your girlfriend and find out whether Brian had ever called her?
No, I did not, and she wouldn't have given permission to use the vehicle anyway.
Well, you don't know that.
I know her.
Probably not.
He had permission to use the vehicle to go to and from work because she had already damaged their other vehicle. In fact, 2 other vehicles.
Would you describe the interior of the car, sir, when you went to retrieve it? Because I see you have cleaning and deodorizing here.
Yes, ma'am. There was a broken cigarillo butt in there and French fries all over the floor and dust from the desert. The exterior of the car was also covered in dust.
Talking about the interior of the car.
It was
Did you stop for lunch?
Yes, I did.
Well, what'd you leave the car a mess for inside?
I was going to clean it before I took it back to him, but obviously I couldn't clean it if there was damages to the car, and a tow truck came and picked it up.
Well, why couldn't you clean it out before the tow truck took it?
Because I walked up to my friend's house to call the tow truck before I could do it, but somebody had called and said that a car was banded in the desert, and the police came and the tow truck came and towed it before I could get back to the car.
It's not a difficult case, Mr. Chandler. You have a judgment in the amount of $624.74. That's everything that you're suing for with the exception of your day's wages. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, the story that was told in court was entirely different than the story I got.
Can you hear the story from me, so therefore he could hear whatever he wants?
I was told that she was driving with a friend and heard a noise and pulled over to see what it was and hit the curb at 10 miles an hour.
I just think that I'm happy that whatever happened happened and he stays out of my life.
The attitude I got was, take me to court. I'm not going to pay for this.
Yes, he could take me to court. I don't care.
I have allowed her husband to use the car to go to and from work.
The whole thing is that he says I did not have permission to use the vehicle, and as far as I knew, I did have permission to use it.
He loaned the car out to somebody else without my consent or knowledge.
The person that gave me responsibility to use it should pay for the damages.
I think justice is finally been served.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Johnson, Sullivan versus Schultz. Step forward, please.
20-year-old students Jamie Johnson and Jackie Sullivan are suing their former roommate, 21-year-old Melissa Shills, for damages to their apartment caused by her boyfriend.
Miss Johnson, you and Miss Sullivan rented an apartment together with the defendant, and it is your claim that her boyfriend, I assume this is the boyfriend, has a bad temper and caused some damage to the apartment. Holes in the walls, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you believe that she should be responsible for that you should not be responsible to the landlord for paying for the damage that her boyfriend caused.
That's right.
Just tell me what damage you allege that he caused.
He punched a hole in Melissa's bedroom wall.
Did you do that?
Yes, I did.
What else?
He tried to break down the bedroom door and in doing so caused damage through the door, like cracked the door.
Did you do that?
That was also done, yes.
What else?
And he proceeded into the kitchen and kicked in the kitchen cupboard door.
Did you do that?
I kicked it. It wasn't...
You kicked it?
Yes.
It's up to you. That's all they have to say.
All right, I've actually already paid for these damages.
Show me.
All right. Here's my security deposit check for $300 that I gave originally to the landlord.
Yeah.
And then I did receive some money back. However, I did take the damages out of my $300 then.
So how much did you get in total back from your security deposit?
$119.
Okay.
Here's
Now,
the sheet that shows that.
Let me just see. How long did you live in the apartment?
For 2 months. That's how all of the Damages department was split up. All our security deposits.
So it came out of all your security deposits. Right.
Yes. Yeah.
You didn't pay for this.
I have the receipt.
There are other things here.
Correct. Other damages that they did to their bedrooms. If they didn't want to pay for the damages I did, why would I pay for?
You didn't do the damage. He did the damage.
He paid me for those damages that came out of the security deposit.
No, it doesn't come out of the security deposit. Let me explain something to you. You rent an apartment. There is ordinary wear and tear on an apartment, and there are things that the landlord always finds. It needs a little more paint. The carpet is stained here. It has to be clean. Little things. Security deposit is not intended for someone kicking holes in the walls. That's not what it's intended for. So the three of you moved into an apartment together. There are damages caused by the three of you, which you, as lessees, agreed to take care of jointly, not anticipating his damage. He's not on the lease.
No.
He doesn't belong there.
I also have pictures of the damages.
I don't need pictures of the damage. He acknowledges that he did the damage. And he should have paid for the damage.
The damages he did were only $238.
You are responsible, however, madam, for a portion of the rest of the bills.
I only lived there for 2 months. Someone else was living there in my place. I feel that person should be responsible then for the cleaning costs.
When did you move in and did you sign a lease?
I signed the lease in April, and I moved.
When did you move out?
I moved out in October, but I only lived there September and October.
I have a copy of
care.
the lease, Your Honor.
But you moved out when?
If you'd like to see.
At the beginning of November.
Okay. And you still had a lease?
Correct, and I did continue to pay rent until someone else moved in to take
then
over
you have
that
to
rent
pay
payment.
portion of the utilities as well. Some of that money you should not have gotten back because they ended up paying a piece of the damage that he caused. Why did you cause? Stand up. Why did you cause this damage to the apartment?
It wasn't intentional damage.
Yes,
to
of
the
course it
apartment.
was. Did somebody drug you?
No.
You just had a bad temper.
I wouldn't say I have a bad temper.
Well, what is it when you punch a hole in a wall, kick in a cabinet, kick in a door? What is that?
Yeah, but they weren't all intended damages. It's not
We
like
all
I
felt
meant to.
unsafe after.
What do you mean they weren't intended damages? I don't understand that.
Well, I didn't intend to put a hole in the wall or.
What did you intend to do?
Nothing.
What did you intend to do?
I was angry. I was upset.
Angry at whom?
I don't really remember.
You weren't angry with me.
No.
You weren't angry at Bird.
No.
You were angry at her.
No.
You were angry at her.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. So instead of hitting her, you hit the wall. Is that a fair statement?
I guess, yes.
Huh? Are you still together?
Yes.
Big mistake. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $178.75. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
One fight doesn't make any couple's relationship bad.
If a guy has a bad temper like that, get out of it.
We are fine. We're getting married next year.
There's no reason to have that bad of a temper towards anybody.
I think my roommates were just being greedy.
Car damages and an assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2056, Garrett versus Codio scenario.
Thank you. Miss Garrett, this gentleman, Michael Codia, is that
correct?
Codia?
Yes.
You and Mr. Codia have been lifelong friends, according
Yes.
to what I read in the complaint. Lifelong, you're both very young. How do you know him?
Well, we used to ride bikes together. His mom used to also braid my hair when I was a child every Sunday.
But you and Mr. Codia were never involved in any relationship other than just friendship.
No.
And Mr. Codia, Miss Serrano is currently your girlfriend.
Correct. Yes, Your Honor.
She had been your girlfriend and been living with you for a while, and you have a child together.
Yes, correct. Well, she's currently pregnant. We're expecting, yeah, they're expecting.
Great. You had a fight. Yes. With Miss Serrano. And that was around June of this year.
Yes, Your Honor.
And it was a substantial enough fight that Miss Serrano left the home. And she left the home with your child. And how old is your child?
As I was saying, we are expecting.
So you don't have a child together?
She's 6 months pregnant, currently.
Okay. So you're just living, and she left.
Correct.
At about the same time, Miss Garrett, your friend, needed a place to stay.
I wouldn't say needed a place to stay, but
What would you say?
it was more like I kind of had a clue, like she had a place to stay, but it was just one of those situations.
No, look over here. Look over here.
Okay.
Okay. Now, Mr. Cody, I want you to understand there are very few stories that are new under the sun. I want you to really understand that. I have children. I have grown grandchildren, boys and girls. I've seen all the movies that I want to see about romance and guys. So your girlfriend leaves you.
Yeah.
Yes. And would it be fair to say that you invite Miss had you in another apartment?
No.
So the answer is you had never invited your friend to come and stay with you before.
No.
Interesting. So on June 27th, she left. On what date did you invite Miss Garrett to come and stay in your apartment?
June 16th.
June 16th?
Yes.
So 11 days before Miss Serrano left?
Miss Serrano left about a week prior to her coming.
What date did you leave, Miss Serrano? Do you recall?
I don't recall. I recall it was the end of or mid-June of this year, I would say. I had personal things going on, so I really wasn't, Now,
Miss Serrano, I'm going to ask you why you left.
We had a falling out. Me and Michael had a falling out.
Yes. What did you and Michael have a falling out about?
Well, at the time, my mother was in the hospital, so that it was a disagreement surrounding having to move back home and take care of her in the household.
And
that was pretty much it.
Well, what did he say? He said he didn't want you to, and you...
Yeah, he pretty much, long story short, didn't want me to move back to my mother's house, so that caused,
Okay, so he wanted you to stay?
Yes. Yes, he wanted me to stay, but,
He wanted you to stay. Now, did you know that the two of you were expecting at that time in June?
Yes.
So he knew that you were expecting a baby, that you wanted to go back to your mother's house because she was ill and you wanted to help take care of her. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
And despite the fact that he said, don't go, you left.
Yes, ma'am.
And you went home.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And it would be fair to say that he was annoyed.
If you want, yes.
Oh, I'm getting this whole picture now. It's so easy. Okay. And about a week later, he invites this attractive young lady who's been a friend of his for a long time, a non-romantic friend, but you know that was a sort of a nasty thing to do.
Oh, no, I'm fully aware. Yes, ma'am.
I just want you to know what you're sort of dealing with.
Yes, I'm fully aware of what I'm doing. Thank you, though. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, so, Mr. Cody, I wanted to sort of get even a little bit. You invite Miss Garrett to come and move in, no rent or anything, because you didn't have an agreement to pay rent. You weren't going to pay rent or anything, and you moved in. And you moved in on?
I moved in on the 1st.
On the 1st of?
July.
July 1st. Now, Miss Serrano, I'm going to come back to you because this is such a fascinating story. Such a fascinating story. And he deserves to get dumped on a little bit.
Oh, there's more where that came from, yes. I said that's more where that came from, yes.
Okay. And between the time you left and July 1st, when Miss Garrett was invited to come to stay at the house, were you in communication with Mr. Codia?
Yes. I would say like every day or every other day we spoke, arguments, you know how it is.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you're pregnant and you have emotions and then you're taking care of family members and whatever. And so I got it. Did he tell you that Miss Garrett was moving in?
Yes.
When?
I would say I found out around like the 27th, 28th.
Of June?
Yes.
Tell me how you found out that she was moving in.
I believe at that point she was already moved in at that point.
Okay. And what made you think that?
Just based off of how the conversation went or how he told me.
Tell me what he told you.
What I was told was that a friend was moving in to solely cook and clean.
See what's happening to him? This fly is getting vengeance on him.
Not getting on the food.
What the hell is going on? Oh, you got a swapper too, wow.
I'm waiting for it to come over here.
Yes.
Her former friend, Michael Codia, and his girlfriend, Brianna Serrano, owe for a personal loan and an assault.
Tell me what he told you. I'm curious. I want to know.
What I was told was that a friend was moving in to solely cook and clean. That's what I was told.
Okay, did he tell you who?
Who it was. I never met her.
But he told you who it was?
Yes, he told me who it was.
And that made you, I would probably guess, a little annoyed and unhappy.
I mean, I was annoyed.
I would be annoyed.
I mean, I was annoyed because I had personal things going on, but in between that time before actually realizing that she was living at my apartment, I actually had a brief interaction with her. I met her at a park. I met her. So
between the time you moved out?
Yes.
Okay. Was it you met because you contacted each other, or
No,
you met by accident?
We met because me and Michael just, had a conversation to have had at that point in time. I'm assuming she was there in the area, so he just wanted to kill two birds with one stone. He said, do you want to meet the person, who's there, who I'm living with, and that's how it went.
And was it a cordial meeting?
Yes, it was.
You met her, she met you?
Yes.
And he said, I just want you to meet the lovely-looking girl that I'm now living with because you went home to take care of your mother.
I guess so, if you want to put it...
Yes, he...
Don't forget.
This is what your case is about. First, you claim that you loaned Mr. Kodia $750 for rent.
Yes.
And you did that because he said once Miss Serrano moved out, she wasn't paying her rent. He was short on rent. That's what I read here. Mr. Kodia has a whole different story. He said while he told you that he was a little short on rent and he was going to have to get a third job.
That's not true.
Just a second. You know that somebody was moving into the apartment just to cook and clean? That's what she says.
Yes, that's exactly my words. Exactly my words, yeah.
That's exactly what you told her.
Correct.
You didn't tell Miss Serrano, the soon-to-be mother of your child, that you had a roommate who was paying rent.
I did not.
Miss Serrano, what kind of work were you doing when you were living together in June?
I had a work-from-home position, will still currently do as a Medicaid specialist.
Were you sharing rent with him?
Yes. Everything was 50-50.
Did you pay him any rent in July?
No, I did not.
Did you pay him rent in June?
Yes.
So you paid him the $750. That was your share of the rent? Is that what your share was?
That was my share of the rent. June was already paid for. July I did not pay because I did not believe I was going to be there.
Okay. Tell me what he said to you that caused you to give him this $750.
Well, he texted me one morning and said that Brianna was no longer going to pay her half of the rent as of July, and that if he could...
You were living there already?
Yes. And if I give him $750, he would give it back to me. And we never discussed anything about me cooking or cleaning. I actually brought groceries, which he said that he would pay me back for, too, while I'm staying there.
Okay. So you were actually there for 5 days, is that right?
About 5 days.
5, 6 days. And at some point around the first week in July, July 5th, 6th, or 7th, you came to the apartment.
Yes.
Tell me what happened.
We went inside the apartment.
Who's we?
Michael and I, sorry. Michael
so
and
you
I
were so you weren't staying there. Where had you met him?
We actually met at work. We've been together for a year and a half.
I understand that. Yeah. But you came home to the apartment together, and that was, I think, on the 7th of July.
Yes.
On the 7th of July. Where had you been? You'd been out. You hadn't been staying in the apartment.
Oh, no, yeah. I was out actually just going to rosaries and stuff like that. I actually went to go pick him up after a family function from work. After picking him up from work, we went back to the apartment, went upstairs.
Was that the first?
Spending the night and,
Have you ever, when you were there, have you seen Miss Garrett?
Nope, but I seen her belongings, though.
Okay. But you knew she was there because he told you that she was there.
Exactly.
So on the 7th, you picked him up, you went back to the apartment, and you'd been there before, but you had never actually physically seen her in the apartment.
Correct.
Despite the fact that you knew she was there.
Correct.
Because you'd been introduced to her.
Correct.
Okay. And what happened?
So we went upstairs. She seen that I was with him, and I guess that must have made her mad.
No, just tell me what happened.
So there was an argument.
Tell me what the argument was.
I don't even know what the argument was, honestly. She just seen me, and then there was an argument that unfolded about what I still don't know still to this day.
Okay, so now Miss Garrett, they came home, and...
Okay, so them two never came in the apartment together at all that night, and previously.
No, just tell me that night.
Oh, that night. So me and Michael discussed that, hey, listen, things are not working out. He has had multiple people in and out his house, and he was making me very uncomfortable, as well as Miss Serrano popping up.
So what do you say? He's had multiple people in the house?
Guys, women every night. I would sleep in the park. One night I slept in the park because he had Miss Serrano popping up at 3 o'clock in the morning, her throwing my things around, telling me to get out the house. So I had to go in my car and go sleep in the park. And we had conversations that night when it happened, when she popped up. Hey, can I go sleep?
What date was that?
It was, I want to say July the 2nd or the 3rd.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before the 7th.
Right.
Okay. And that's when you went out and slept in the park?
Yes.
Just a second. Mr. Cody, you remember that evening?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And that evening on day with you?
Sadly.
Absolutely right. Going to have two women fight over the prize, the grand prize. Okay. Did you take $750 from her?
No, I
did.
Not.
Did you? I didn't ask you with a loan.
Yes,
I didn't ask you. She has proof that she gave it to you.
Yes, she.
Okay. So let's not play. Did you take $750 from her?
I did.
So it goes back to her. That's $750. Now we're going to get to what she alleges is the remainder of her lawsuit, which is damages for assault. Okay. On the 7th of July, there was some sort of an altercation. You want to tell me what that was?
Yes.
You did something that annoyed him. You went back to take care of your sick mother, which also attests to his bad character. And then what he does is he invites someone, a woman, to come into the house because he knows that it's going to irritate you. That's exactly what happened. He acknowledges that.
Nashera Garrett has accused her former friend, Michael Codia, and his girlfriend, Brianna Serrano, of damaging her car and assaulting her.
Now, on the 7th of July, there was some sort of an altercation. You want to tell me what that was?
Yes. So that evening, I went into the house, and he had his witness, Darius, there. And
this person?
Yes. And me and Michael had conversations about him before, and I just thought it wasn't a good influence. So that evening, I walk in the house, and I'm sorry, let me back that up. I asked Michael if he's gonna have men come in the house, could he please be there while I'm there with them? Because I didn't feel comfortable. He said yes. So when I walked in that evening and saw Darius there, I texted Michael and said, Michael, we need to have another talk, because every talk we have, I'm thinking that we're having understandings, but we're not. So, and Darius set up a whole twin-sized bed up in the living room. It was around 8:30 when Michael had came, and I was sitting in my car. Me and Michael were talking, and...
Was he in your car with you?
No. He was outside of my driver's side. So that's when Miss Brianna came, and she started hitting him upside his head, and I tried to get out of the spot that I was in. And next thing I know, my window's down, and she comes and she's attacking me, punching me in my face. She keyed up my car. When she first came up to my window, she keyed my car. Yeah, I can show you.
What?
Okay, did you file a police report?
I didn't.
Why?
I just didn't. I took care of my bruises and my scar. I did call 911, but then I hung up. I just didn't. And
Okay. Do you have photographs of your injury?
Yes. There you go.
So what you're telling me is that this was a scratch across your chest.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a scratch that was caused by Miss Serrano.
Yes.
And that was in July.
Yes.
Ms. Serrano, I'd like to hear your version of what happened on the 7th of July.
Like I said before, there was just an argument that took place.
That was
nothing
I want you to
physical.
start the argument from the beginning.
Okay.
Okay. She's outside in her car.
Mm-hmm.
Michael is talking to her at the car.
Oh, yeah.
Did you drive over there or did you walk? How did you get there?
I parked my car like in front of the house because they were on the side street. So I walked.
So you walked there?
Exactly.
You parked the car. Now, let me ask you a couple of questions, Ms. Serrano. Yeah. Did Mr. Codia ever go?
They went the day after that. The conversation was going to be for her to leave the house.
Okay. And what were you coming over for? What brought you over there at 8 o'clock at night?
For him.
What do you mean for him?
Well, he left something in my car. He left the charger or something. It was something he left in my car that I was returning back to him.
Did you tell him you were coming over?
Nope. I just popped up.
The answer is no.
No.
You were curious.
Yes, I was. Of course I was.
There you were.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
See what's happening to him? This fly is getting vengeance on him.
Not getting on me.
What the hell's going on? Oh, you got a swapper too? Wow.
I'm waiting for it to come over here. Did you seek medical treatment?
I did not.
Mr. Cody, I'm going to wrap up this case because I really understand it. I believe I understand it. What I don't understand is why and this doesn't require an answer, it's sort of a rhetorical question, why you would want to take someone who had been a lifelong friend and someone with whom you are having a child and put either one or both of them in a situation so they don't know each other really, so they don't know whether to like each other or whether not to like each other. I mean, I assume that at this point you would, at least Miss Serrano was planning a long-term relationship with you, and she's having a child, and I assume she thinks you're going to be there to be supportive of the child. Maybe. You have other children?
Yes, I do.
How many children do you have?
I have another son.
Okay, how old?
5 years old, 5.
And he lives with his mother?
Yes, he does.
So you see.
Yes. There you go.
This one's a pesky one. I'm usually good at it. I missed it before. I don't know why you would put them in a situation where they would dislike each other all to satisfy your ego.
Wow.
Oh, that's exactly what you did. You put them in a position where two apparently nice ladies,
The entire time I was with
they just know each other for a long time.
It was way before me, so I guess if you would have put it like that.
And they also went to senior prom together.
Just a second.
Wow, like
I didn't ask you.
I'm
listen
sorry,
to me.
Your Honor.
I didn't ask you anything. This is not a shout out. What I'm telling you is it goes to his character. He knows her for a long time. They never had a romantic relationship. With you, he's had a romantic relationship. You did something that annoyed him. You went back to take care of your sick mother, which also attests to his bad character. And then what he does is he invites a woman to come into the house, lets you know about it, because he knows that it's going to irritate you. That's exactly what happened. He acknowledges that. That doesn't make him a good guy. So I want you to think about that. But I absolutely believe that you caused a scratch on her, which you can't do. Anyway, Mr. Cody, you owe her $750. And Miss Serrano, you can't put your hands on anybody, no matter how angry you are at them. And I'm awarding her $1,000 for you putting your hands on her. Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I was very satisfied.
I mean, I know it will cause havoc, but
Different women every night,
I try to keep it in secret.
and that's why we stopped being friends before, but I definitely learned my lesson.
I feel like it's unfortunate. I feel like she manipulated the whole situation.
The friendship is over.
It's gonna be a father to my child, man.
After working with you now for almost a year, I'm starting to get so jaded from these cases that I'm starting to think that just staying single might be my best option if these are the alternatives. Yeah. Just blows my mind. He admitted to just pitting an old friend and your fiance, who's pregnant with your child, against each other.
To satisfy your ego.
Yes. Sounds like a terrible idea, was a terrible idea, turned out to be a terrible idea, and it'll land you in court on occasion.
You're right, but rethink.
Of character.
Court come to order. All rise.
Be seated, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2007, Sanchez versus Vasquez.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Sanchez, how old are you, sir?
I'm 26 years old.
And what is your educational background?
I have a bachelor's degree in film that I got from Full Sail University. I'm currently...
Slowly.
I'm sorry.
You have a bachelor's degree from?
Full Sail University.
Where is that?
Orlando, Florida.
Orlando, Florida. That I can hear. You have to understand, when you're dealing with someone of my age, you have to sort of factor that into your speech. People who are 26 may be able to follow you. I'm senior. I need people to speak slowly so that I can follow them.
I got you.
So you got a bachelor's degree from a university in Florida and graduated when?
I graduated in 2018.
And from there, what kind of work did you do?
From there, I jumped around a little bit. I did
Okay,
work...
you jumped around. Did your family live in Florida?
No, ma'am.
Where do they live?
They live in Beaumont, Texas.
Did you live with them at all in Beaumont?
No, ma'am.
After college?
Not until the pandemic.
Okay. Well, the pandemic was in 2020.
Yes.
So you graduated in June of 2018, and then the pandemic started on or about March of 2020.
Yes, ma'am.
And in March of 2020, you went home to your parents' house.
Yes.
And you stayed there until when?
I'm still currently there. I started going back to school, actually.
When did you start going back to school?
My first classes were in December of last year.
In Texas?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So you actually had a year and a half out of school when you were hopping around.
Yes, ma'am.
So I want you to tell me who you worked for in that year and a half.
I was an intern on a documentary.
Okay, and when was that?
That was about a few months after I graduated.
So maybe September, October?
Yeah, probably around there. I did a few independent films.
Okay, and what kind of work did you do for them?
Just kind of depended what they need, $5 a day.
Pay you in cash?
They paid me in cash.
Okay, so you did those couple of little projects, and then what?
I was also waiting tables at the time.
Okay, well, you got to eat.
Right. After the pandemic hit, my lease was up. I moved back home. Decided I would go back to school to get a tech job. I'm going for cybersecurity right now. I had heard through a family friend.
Okay, let's stop there. This case is, I don't think so difficult, but relatively interesting for me because we don't get them all the time. Mr. Vasquez, you were making a movie.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is this the first movie you ever made?
No, Your Honor.
How many movies have you made?
This was film number 5 for me. Written, directed, produced.
Is it a fiction piece or a documentary?
It's actually based on a true story.
So it's a docudrama?
Correct, yes.
See that? Are you impressed with that? There you go, a docudrama. How long a film?
90 to 100 minutes. We're still in post, still editing. So
keep your voice up. Approximately how long?
100 minutes.
What was your budget?
It's still in
About what was your budget? Then you're going to tell me where you got the financing.
roughly 120,000.
Where did you get the money from?
A lot of it was my money and other producers.
How much did you put in?
Over 80,000.
And you've got other people in for about 40.
Yeah.
Did you make money on your other films?
I have, yes, in the past.
Okay, this is what the case is about. Mr. Sanchez says that he was hired by your company. And he was hired by your company to work on this last film that you were doing. And it was a paying job. And at the end of the period, he was not paid. And in addition, he says that when he complained about not being paid, you put out there on social media that you weren't paying him because he was on drugs. Is that what the case is basically about?
Basically. It wasn't on social media. It was through text messages. He accused me of it, but...
I know. Okay. Did you answer an ad for this job?
No, I heard about it through a family friend.
And when did you meet Mr. Vasquez for the first time?
We didn't actually meet face-to-face until about Saturday, July 10th, 2021.
Did you communicate via text messages or
Yes, ma'am.
emails? Well, when was the first either text message or email?
The first text message was on Monday, the 28th, 2021 of June.
6/28, 2021. May I see that, please?
Of course. And this one, too. Sorry.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. So you first met by email. You say you have one spot available for him as an internship, and then practically immediately thereafter, you say somebody's family is sick in the crew. You have a spot for him as an assistant director.
So, Your Honor.
I'm reading this. Well, you have to tell me what that means. I need a first AD. Someone's family is sick and they can't do it.
Correct.
So what is an AD?
He's basically going to assist me as a director, everything from...
Assistant to the director.
Correct.
Okay. Yes. I need a first AD. Someone's family is sick. So that's different from an internship.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I mean, we do have internships where people don't get paid, and then you have internships where they do get paid. Mm-hmm. Most people now pay their interns. Okay. And when you met, because clearly the last email that I just read suggests that you were approaching the door and you're 2 minutes away, and then you met the defendant. Tell me about that conversation.
Christian Sanchez claims filmmaker Juan Vasquez owes him for unpaid work.
Suggests that you were approaching the door and you're 2 minutes away, and then you met the defendant. Tell me about that conversation.
So we met, we sat down. I kind of told him a little bit about my background, like I told you before. He kind of went over like what he was expecting me to do.
Just a second. I want you to tell me what he told you that he wanted you to do.
Managing the set, creating schedules, calling extras, making sure that they were there on time.
Is that what you told him?
Yes, basically assisting me whatever I needed.
Okay, that sounds like more than a PA.
We didn't ask for PAs.
No, but what you outlined was clearly more. What did you agree to pay him?
Never agreed to pay him anything. So
well, how could you do that?
He was an intern. He was presented to me as an intern.
No. Not after this text message. He said he was looking for an internship, and you said to him, I have a better role for you. I need a first AD. Someone's family is sick. Whose family was sick? The name of the person?
I don't recall.
Okay.
When you did a budget, did you have a budget for a first AD?
No, we didn't.
Careful. Did you have a budget for a first AD?
No, not that I remember. I usually don't use a first AD, so the terminology.
No. Listen, you know who produces this show? You want to be careful with what you say around people, who are buying your product.
Sure.
Right? Because you're going to be presenting them with budgets, eventually, hopefully for you. There's no question that if I got this text from you, Mr. Vasquez, I would say, oh my God, I'm going to get a different job, a better role, because he says I have a much better thing. Somebody who was supposed to do it got sick, they can't do it. That's a much different thing from what you describe as bringing the iced tea and setting up the coffee. That's a different role. What did he need that day? What did he tell you he was going to pay you?
$150 per day for 14 days.
How many days did you actually work on the set?
On the set, I worked 14 days.
It's a lie.
I got COVID on the last 2 days, and he asked me to work from home. And I still scheduled and did all that stuff.
I never asked him to work from home.
You got COVID the last 2 days, so you were actually there 12 days.
Physically there, but I was still working for him.
Who knows? How do I know that?
I have text.
I would like to see the work that you did from home on day 13 and 14.
1,800 for 12 days, not including.
Okay.
On those specific days, I have it on my phone. Could I pull it up?
No, I want to see what you did. If you did work, you sent emails out, you sent scheduling out, and you would probably have to have a conversation with your boss and say, I have COVID, but I'll do whatever I could do from home.
I have all of that.
I'd like to see it.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, if I may interject.
Yeah.
So he shows up to the set sick with COVID, gets everybody sick. I had to call the next day of filming because of that.
Are you talking about after he was there for 12 days?
Yes, I'm talking about that particular part, but
I'm talking about he was there for 12 days. He didn't have COVID for 12 days.
we don't know that.
Well, who knows that? I don't know if you have COVID.
We just got tested, Your Honor.
Who knows if you have COVID? Who knows if I have COVID? All I know is I came to work today. I expect to be paid. I wouldn't come to work if I was sick and laying in bed and feeling nauseous and...
Your Honor, if you had a remote position, that'd be different. He didn't have a remote position.
I'm not talking about his 2 days. He was there 12 days.
He did it throughout the course of the project. He was never on time.
I don't care if he was never on time. If he was never on time, sir, then you fire him.
There was days he was not on set.
Listen to me.
Okay.
If he was never on time, then you tell him don't come back after the second day. But if you let him come for 12 days and do whatever he does, I mean, Mr. Vasquez, I'm going to make this as painless for you as possible. There are some employees that I have had over the years that were terrific. Period. I couldn't do it because of human resources.
Sure.
They have a whole protocol, volumes, like an Encyclopedia Britannica, what you have to go through to fire somebody who's not doing their job.
Right.
But you have to pay him until you can fire him. If you have him come to work, even if he's doing a terrible job, you still have to pay him. Now, if he goes home because he's sick and you're not giving him sick leave and you don't agree for him to work remotely, that's on him. Does that sound fair to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm so glad. Unless, of course, you agree to have him work remotely, then you have to pay him for 14 days.
Right.
It starts right there, Your Honor, and then the next 2 days follow it.
JV, that's you?
Yes, ma'am.
JV, that's you. So you did, in fact, confer with him from home. Tell him to order food, to picking it up. I don't care if he worked for you for a half hour. He's not your friend. The thing that I find most troubling here, actually, for the both of you, is he says that you told him not to tell the rest of the crew that he had COVID because they would freak out.
Correct.
And he didn't tell the rest of the crew that he had COVID. Well, you told him not to. And he said, okay. Well, you have to know, as a good citizen, that's not the right thing to do. You do understand that.
And, by not having him on the set, we thought that was proper protocol.
No, you're supposed to notify people who you came into close contact with. I remember they had this whole contact tracing. I know people call all the time and say,
reality is, Your
we
Honor,
were out
everybody
together
that was
a month
on
ago.
The set.
What?
The reality is, everybody that was on the set, we did discuss the fact that he had COVID, so people
want everyone to freak out. I just find that troubling. In any event,
it's just like yelling bomb in an airport. That would have created a bigger hysteria.
Well, that's what COVID is. COVID is a bomb in an airport.
We conveyed to everybody on the set what was going on. The reality is this man was presented as an intern, never said paid internship. Once he got on the set, he tried to strong arm us, then demanded the money once he had all the information on the set. We didn't hire him. We didn't post a job for him. We made a job for him because a producer called me up. This is when nepotism goes bad. This kid couldn't even order pizza, Your Honor. He spent $300 at Domino's. Who spends $300 at Domino's?
Mr. Vasquez, then you fire him.
I should have
fired him. Do you
him.
understand?
I should have fired him.
Then your recourse is to fire him. And you're a little company that doesn't have an HR department. Say, you know what? What's your first name?
Christian.
Christian, you're a nice guy, but it's not working out here. We're going to pay you for 3 days because that's what you were here. Don't come back. I'm going to get somebody else.
And you should have done that, Your Honor.
But that's what you should have done.
Yes.
But that's not what you did. You continued to use whatever limited services he provided, even when he was home with COVID.
Yes.
Even when he went home with COVID, you continued to ask him to do things for your company and for the film, and that you can't do without compensating him.
Christian Sanchez has accused his former employer, Juan Vasquez, of not paying him for 14 days of work. Juan claims Christian was incompetent and never a paid employee.
Okay, even when he went home with COVID, you continued to ask him to do things for your company and for the film, and that you can't do without compensating him. You can't. Okay, so you owe him $2,100 because I assume you paid him nothing. Now, let's get to the second part of your claim, which is defamation. That I'd like to see. I mean, if you're going to be a producer, if you're going to make films, sir,
right away,
without risking my house and my car and my dog.
I was taking him on as a basically.
I don't care what you were thinking. That's not what you said.
Asked me to take him on. That's why I took him on.
He actually called me and told me how good of a job I was doing.
It doesn't require an answer. Okay.
And I can show the messages how he came to be on the set. He was presented.
Just a second. I don't care how he was presented to you. If your Aunt Tilly said, do me a favor, this is my godson.
It was his Aunt Tilly.
He hasn't been able to get a job since he graduated from college.
He hasn't made
He's home. He's home in the attic of his parents' house playing the guitar. We want him to have a job. It's irrelevant. You gave him a job. And if he didn't work out, say, what was the name of that woman from that show that says you're fired or something? Well, anyway, you say you're fired. That's easy. Do we remember the name of that woman from England who had a show where she said, you're out, get out? I don't know. She was terrific. Let me see.
The weakest link.
Weakest link. That was the lady. Perfect. Thank you.
And that's a direct text message to him. I never posted on social media.
Oh.
It was actually a group text.
Just a second. So, Mr. Vasquez, in here, you say to him, this is the second part of his case, which is for defamation. And that's okay. He didn't defame you.
Okay.
Sir, he said they're taking you out of the credits, but you were never promised credits.
In the contract, it says I am.
Let me see where in the contract it said you'd be in the credits. And I didn't even know there was a contract. I thought
He's
you had
also done this before.
Shh.
Oh, wait.
Shh. Shh. Just a second. Sir, is this the agreement he put in front of you? Or did you?
I signed act agreements every day on the.
You're a business guy.
Yeah.
I'm a business lady.
That looked like an actor agreement.
Sign
That's why I signed it.
Actor agreement. That's what it says.
Yeah. He's not an actor.
Don't sign it. It says you agree to pay him $150 a day for 4 days of shooting.
14.
14 days of shooting. And that he will be responsible for paying all the taxes on it. So he was going to be paid.
I didn't write that out, Your Honor.
Kevin, would you show this to him, please, and see if he can identify that as his signature? I'm going to check here to see if it's his signature. It looks like his signature to me. Mr. Vasquez, it appears to be the same signature that you used to sign the answer.
Yes, Your Honor.
So that's your signature?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And this says, actor shall receive a credit for acting in the film. Well, that's ridiculous. You didn't act in the film, right?
No, ma'am.
Well, we're going to strike that out because you can't perform that because you didn't act in the movie. Do you understand?
I understand, ma'am.
Okay, very good. And it's clear that whatever this says, based upon this, if you delete one part of a contract, let me see if I remember, if part of a contract, Sarah, is impossible to perform.
Then it's not fully integrated.
and one party acts on that contract, and you can retain part of the contract because of services that were rendered pursuant to the contract, you can eliminate one part.
Yes.
So I can eliminate the actor part of getting credit. So you're not getting credit on this. You're entitled to the $150 a day. As far as the defamation is concerned, sir, what he said in here was clear. He said he was told by someone else, which is very possible. And the only thing that you can produce for me today is this fellow who said you tried to put together a little bit of a drug transaction. Are you?
No.
Well, then you're irrelevant. You can produce, because if he said...
The very next morning, he sent me that text message.
I don't care. I don't care. He's not a great businessman. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,100. Thank you very much. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
I thought she was very fair. I'm really, really happy with how the judgment came out.
He was an intern. Interns aren't paid. It never said paid internship.
He tried to avoid signing a contract at first.
The reality is, with a budget, we would love to pay the kid, but he cost us more money than he was actually worth.
He lies constantly. Nothing's ever his fault. He always makes up a new scenario in which he's the victim.
He couldn't even order pizza. I mean, who spends $300 at Domino's?
Handed me the actor's agreement, told me to sign it.
No more nepotism. If I don't know him, I've embedded him. I don't want them on the project.
A little bit weird, but it had everything.
And this kid is going to go be a cybersecurity guy.
Always save your receipts, dude. Always just keep any sort of communications, even if it's a phone call, send a text or an email that just recaps what you said.
I was so happy to vent for a moment on the current inability to fire inept people and to fire people who aren't doing their job, which has been getting worse over the last quarter of century. I actually believe that HR is a vital service for people who are unjustly, based on something other than their performance, treated badly by an employer. Mm-hmm. And harassment in the workplace, I think, is important. Anyway, I got that out of my system. The contract.
Yeah, the contract. I think it was unenforceable to begin because I think the form was clearly erroneous. It wasn't the proper form. He wasn't an actor. Both of them knew he wasn't an actor. Right. However, it was signed by both parties, and there was substantial performance on behalf of the plaintiff by showing up to work every day, performing his duties under the contract. So as soon as he substantially performed the contract, the defendant can't then...
Hi, xin chào các bạn. Chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta cùng tô màu bức tranh chú mèo Hello Kitty đang cưỡi cá heo. Mình sẽ tô màu hồng, màu nâu, màu vàng, bông hoa ở trên chú cá heo. Màu xanh và chú cá heo. ánh màu đỏ tô vàng mặt trời. Vậy là chúng ta đã hoàn thành xong bức tranh chủ mèo Hello Kitty cưỡi cả heo. Và đây là thành quả ngày hôm nay. Hẹn gặp lại các bạn ở những video tiếp theo.